Chapter 2015. The battles in the three palaces in the formation world had already reached their climax. The battles in each of the palaces were especially intense, so much so that they could even be described as tragic. The exit was right in front of them. Either they would rank in the top 3 or last. The two results were simply too different. No one was willing to be last. This was especially so for the famous Outer Palace outstanding talents. They would not give up until the very last moment. Who would be the first to walk out of the bronze doors? After so much time had passed, not only were the palace masters on the light steps in the air waiting anxiously, but the heaven-class core disciples on the ground waiting as well. After all, this concerned the slots for the outer palaces to enter the second stage. This concerned honor and benefits. Everyone hoped that their strongest disciple could stand out and become the first. Why are there no results yet? This is really making me anxious. Why is senior brother Qinmu not appearing yet? There's no rush. Senior brother Qinmu is publicly recognized as the strongest of the outer palaces. There should not be any surprises with him obtaining the first rank of the first stage. It would be good if he can enter the top 3. With that, most of the people in our Silver Dragon Palace will be qualified to enter the second stage. Given senior brother Yuanxi's strength, while he might not be the first rank, he is definitely in the top 3. The various outer palace disciples started discussing in low voices in groups of 2s and 3s. The many Heavenly Dragon Palace disciples did not dare to say anything before this group of Divine Dragon Bloodline cultivators. If they said anything, they would attract gazes of criticism. The many Divine Dragon disciples who looked down on mixed blood dragons mocked them in their hearts. The one at the bottom would definitely be Xiaochen. When Li Luo and the others heard this, they felt angry in their hearts. However, they did not dare to show it on their faces. They could not help it. Aside from them, the others were all Divine Dragon Bloodline disciples. If they started arguing, they would not be able to escape any benefits. This first stage is very considerate of the Heaven Dragon Palace. Aside from the top 3, everyone else is at the bottom. This is really unfair. Indeed. Why? Why can't there be 4, 5, 6, and 7? Just thinking about it pisses me off. Ancestor Dragon City is clearly biased toward these mixed blood dragons. Speak softer. Don't let others hear. So what if they heard it? What's there to be afraid of? I'm just speaking the truth. If senior brother doesn't make it to the top 3, our slots will be the same as those mixed dragons. That's unfair. Although the ear-piercing criticism was suppressed, no one present could hear it. Bai Yunfeng and the others held their breaths, their expressions somewhat unsightly. Not far away, the Silver Dragon Palace's Yuan Tai saw this scene. He smiled faintly and said, "Brother Yunfeng, don't be angry. The Heaven Dragon Palace has been at the bottom for so many years. No matter what, we have to take care of them, right? These people are not giving face. Just ignore them. I support Ancestor Dragon City's decision." The Silver Dragon Palace disciples were extremely confident of their senior brother, Yuanxi, entering the top 3. On the other hand, Yuan Tai had nothing better to do, so he teased Zhang Xian. On the surface, he seemed to be supporting Zhang Xian, but he was secretly mocking him. Right. Our Silver Dragon Palace supports Ancestor Dragon City's decision. This group of people is truly shameless. They are so harsh to their fellow sect members. Brothers of the Heaven Dragon Palace, don't be sad. Our Silver Dragon Palace disciples are absolutely not that harsh. Ha. Under Yuan Tai's lead, the group of bored Silver Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciples all started laughing loudly. In any case, as long as nothing unexpected happened, Yuanxi would definitely enter the top 3. There was no need to worry too much. Bai Yunfeng trembled in anger, wanting to flare up on the spot. However, Li Luo, who was at the side, held him back, telling him not to act rashly. Creak. Just at this moment, a strange sound came from the formation plate. It was not loud, but everyone heard it. It was the sound of a door being pushed open. Someone was pushing the ancient bronze doors. In the blink of an eye, the chatter came to an abrupt stop. Everyone's gaze was directed toward the 3 ancient bronze doors on the giant formation plate in front of them. Everyone turned anxious, including the Silver Dragon Palace's group. The smiles on their faces vanished, and they watched nervously. He watched nervously. After all, no one could predict the outcome of an accident. It's the door in the middle. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, every detail of the 3 ancient bronze doors was captured by the crowd. It could be clearly seen that the door in the middle was being pushed little by little, emitting a creaking sound. The person pushing the door seemed to have exhausted a lot of veritable essence, energy, and stamina. It appeared somewhat strenuous, unable to push the door open in one go. Who is it? Right now, everyone was trying to guess who was pushing this door open. Without a doubt, the person who pushed this door open would be the first. Qin Mu. Qin Mu. It must be Qin Mu. On the light steps, the Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd palace master already had a somewhat crazed look in his eyes. He nearly could not help muttering to himself. He could not help it. His earlier words were too firm. He had ruthlessly trampled on the Heaven Dragon Palace. If Qin Mu did not rank first, it would be somewhat embarrassing. Although the palace masters of the other outer palaces knew that it was very likely Qin Mu pushing the door open, they still held some hope. However, he still had some expectations. He hoped that his disciple would be the one who was pushing the door open. The many Golden Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciples already held their breaths in extreme anxiety, waiting for the answer. Compared to these Divine Dragon Palace disciples, the Heaven Dragon Palace disciples showed somewhat desolate expressions. They did not seek to rank first. They only hoped that their senior brother Xiao Chen could help them rank in the top 3. As long as they could rank in the top 3, they would be able to hold their heads high and release all the pent-up frustration in their hearts. As long as they could rank in the top 3, all the grievances they had suffered over the years would be worth it. However, the rumors they heard earlier discouraged them. They had already heard about the snake-tailed tiger. They had already heard about a mixed-blood dragon bloodline cultivator, facing a snake-tailed tiger, with a Ho bloodline. The result was simply unimaginable. Although the ancient bronze door in the middle pushed somewhat slowly, it eventually opened a crack. Then the crack slowly widened. When the crack expanded to 3 inches, a side profile and a set of blood-stained golden armor appeared clearly in front of everyone under the sunlight. It was Qin Mu. Qin Mu's handsome face appeared somewhat fatigued. However, the sharpness hidden in his eyes, the noble air of a golden dragon, and the blood-stained golden armor all showed it. This person was Qin Mu, one of the Qin clan's twin stars, the strongest person in the outer palace. Haha. This old man already said that the first rank would definitely be my Golden Dragon Palace's Qin Mu. Earlier, I called him a mixed-blood dragon, and you want me to apologize? Damn it. To think that the strongest golden dragon in the outer palace wants to apologize to a mixed-blood dragon. The Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd palace master could not help laughing maniacally on the light steps. Clearly, the 3rd palace master was also frustrated. Although his earlier apology to the 1st palace master was not sincere, it still upset him, a golden dragon. After suppressing it for a long time, it finally erupted. Although the 3rd palace master's words were arrogant, when he saw Qin Mu, who was the first to push open the ancient bronze door, the other outer palace masters did not say anything. The 3rd palace master had no choice. At this moment, he indeed had the capital to be arrogant. Even if the 1st palace master felt dissatisfied, he could not say anything, nor could he say anything. The results were there for all to see. This was a world where the strong reigned. Lord Feng would not care about it. It's senior brother. It really is senior brother Qin. The pride of the Golden Dragon bloodline, the dignity of the royal clan, senior brother did it. The strongest of the outer palaces will definitely be the noble Golden Dragon bloodline. No one can shake him. The Golden Dragon Palace's heaven-class core disciples felt incredibly excited. Some even had tears in their eyes as they cheered in unison. The other outer palace disciples all showed somewhat desolate expressions. However, they did not show much change in their expressions. The strongest of the outer palaces was truly the strongest of the outer palaces. He lived up to his reputation. Qin Mu, who was pushing open the door, felt extremely fatigued. When he saw this scene, he squeezed out a smile on his pale face. It was worth it. It was worth fighting that madman from the Red Dragon Palace to the brink of death. Fortunately, he did not fail in his mission. It was all worth it. Boom. Suddenly, without any warning, an explosion came from the formation plate. Before everyone's incredulous gazes, the ancient bronze door to Qin Mu's left exploded. Then, a piercing electric light burst out from it. The electric light was as piercing as the blazing sun. A figure shot out from within the 10,000 zhang of lightning. That person wore white robes, looking spotless. He had a handsome face and delicate facial features. His expression was calm as he held up the tyrant's saber and landed firmly in the air. Who else could it be but Xiao Qin? Everyone was stunned by this scene. Qin Mu had only pushed the door halfway. He hadn't even had the time to take a step out. The smile on his face had yet to fade when it froze. The cheering Golden Dragon Palace disciples were utterly stupefied. After the white-bearded old man on the light steps recovered from his shock, he said calmly, "Congratulations to the Heaven Dragon Palace's disciple, Xiao Qin, for being the first to leave and obtaining the first rank." The Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master, who had cursed excitedly earlier, was instantly stunned. He felt a burning pain on his face. The first palace master felt a lump in his throat, but he maintained a relatively calm expression. Without even looking at the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master, he said softly, "Tianyun, let's go and receive Xiao Qin." However, Elder Tianyun could not help turning around to look at the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master. "Our Heaven Dragon Palace really does not care for your Golden Dragon Palace's apology. You keep calling us mixed blood dragons. You are not even comparable to a mixed blood dragon. What noble golden divine dragon. Noble my ass." After cursing, Elder Tianyun turned and left. This angered the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master into trembling. He pointed at the other party but could not say anything for a long time. After being criticized by a Heaven Dragon Palace elder in public, the Golden Dragon Palace's third palace master felt so frustrated that he wanted to die. However, he could not do anything. Chapter 2016. At first, the many Heaven-class core disciples of the Heaven Dragon Palace did not believe their eyes. When the white-bearded old man announced that the Heaven Dragon Palace's Xiao Qin obtained the first rank, everyone felt like they were startled awake from a dream. Only then did they wake up from a dream. The emotions that they had been suppressing for a long time erupted, and they could not help but cheer. Senior brother Xiao Qin obtained the first rank. He really obtained the first rank. The first rank belongs to our Heaven Dragon Palace. We are not at the bottom. The eyes of several Heaven Dragon Palace disciples turned moist. The earlier feeling was simply too unbearable. "Don't cry. Don't let others see you as a joke," Bai Yinfeng said softly. However, at some point in time, his eyes had already become moist. Although Xiao Qin obtained only the first rank of the first stage, it marked an epic-making moment in the history of the Heaven Dragon Palace. It had been many years. Even the many elders of the Heaven Dragon Palace did not know how long the Heaven Dragon Palace had been at the bottom for. How much mockery and disdain had the Heaven Dragon Palace endured? Today, Xiao Qin obtained the first rank. How could these people not feel excited and excited? The Silver Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciples at the side were all stupefied. Their expressions turned sluggish, completely in disbelief. Even though Ancestor Dragon City's Lord had already announced this result, they still found it hard to accept. Yuan Tai, who had mocked the Heaven Dragon Palace disciples earlier, showed an unsightly expression as he stole a glance at Bai Yinfeng and the others. Yuan Tai discovered that the other party could not be bothered with them at all, focusing all their attention on Xiao Qin. Yuan Tai heaved a sigh of relief. If Bai Yinfeng and the others came over to trample on him now, it would be a slap in the face. With Xiao Qin's first rank, even if Yuan Tai suffered a slap in the face, he could only endure it and not lose his temper. Yuan Tai consoled himself. It's fine. This is just the first stage. The second stage is the most important. As long as senior brother can enter the top 3, it will be fine." The Silver Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciples all set their gazes on the final ancient bronze door. They anticipated that Yuan Shi could push open this ancient bronze door. First place, Xiao Qin. Second place, Qin Mu. If not for Yuan Shi, the Silver Dragon Palace would have ranked last in the first stage. However, even after a long time, this ancient bronze door did not open. The faces of Yuan Tai and the others darkened. Senior brother Yuan Tai, the door is open, someone exclaimed as he pointed at the giant array disc in front of him. Yuan Tai was overjoyed. He immediately glanced at the door and saw it being pushed open. Then the White Dragon Palace's Ling Xiao walked out with a victorious smile on his fatigued face. The many Silver Dragon Palace disciples felt like they had fallen into an ice cave, stunned. When Bai Yinfeng saw this scene, he felt slightly stunned. Then he smiled softly and said, "This is surprising. The Silver Dragon Palace did not even make it into the top 3. However, the people from the Silver Dragon Palace probably don't mind. They were quite supportive of the rules of the first stage." His voice was not loud, but it was extremely ear-piercing in the ears of Yuan Tai and the others. This was especially so when they mocked Bai Yinfeng and the others earlier, expressing their support for Ancestor Dragon City's rules. This time, he had been given a solid slap in the face. He had trapped himself in a trap, and he had no way to refute. His expression was extremely ugly. The other outer palaces were also discussing this matter. Yuan Shi was someone who was thought to be second only to Qin Mu. Yet, he was actually at the bottom of the first stage. Boom. With Ling Zhao's appearance, the first stage came to an end. The outer palace disciples responsible for sniping were sent out. The white-bearded man said, "That's enough. Go and rest first. I will announce the rules of the second stage in 2 hours. Even the snake-tailed tiger could not stop you, and you actually managed to obtain the first rank. You should be glad that you did not run into me," Qin Mu said coldly as he walked past Xiao Chun with a sullen expression. Then he left without looking back. Qin Mu felt extremely depressed, extremely sullen. Anyone would feel upset. The first to push open the ancient bronze door had already enjoyed the cheers of the crowd, the glory of the victor. Then he instantly turned the tables, becoming the second rank in the blink of an eye. If not for his good mental state, he would have gone berserk on the spot. "Brother Xiao, congratulations on obtaining the first rank." The Blue Dragon Palace's Feng Wuheng walked over and performed a cupped fist salute with a smile. The two of them exchanged blows in the palace, and the victor was decided. After the victor was decided, Feng Wuheng stopped decisively, not continuing to tremble. However, Xiao Chen retained most of his veritable essence energy and great Dao energy. Hence, Xiao Chen could shatter the ancient bronze door with one strike. Unlike Qin Mu, who was drained by Ding Jun and could only push open the ancient bronze door bit by bit. "You are too polite." The two had gotten to know each other after fighting. Xiao Chen obtaining the first rank was the other party's help, a close victory. "Haha, goodbye. I'll see you in the second stage." Feng Wuheng smiled freely and turned to leave. "Junior brother Xiao Chun, you obtained the first rank?" Lu Feng and Xiao Jinyu exclaimed in shock as they walked over and looked at Xiao Chun. They did not know the results when they were inside. They only found out after hearing Feng Wuheng's congratulations, feeling incredibly shocked. "I was lucky." Right after Xiao Chun spoke, his expression changed. He suddenly discovered that the two's injuries were extremely horrifying. They were all terrifying sword wounds. The sword intent spreading from them had yet to fade, still invading the two's physical bodies. "Your injuries." When speaking of their injuries, the two revealed smiles. Lu Feng said excitedly, "We succeeded in sniping Yuan Shi. We estimate that he will not pass the final test. The first palace master told us to do our best to help you. Although Yuan Shi did not run into junior brother Xiao Chen, it was worth it." When the two learned that Xiao Chen obtained the first rank, they were overjoyed, completely forgetting about their injuries. However, Xiao Chen felt some heartache. These injuries were somewhat severe. Yuan Shi was really ruthless in his attacks. "Two mixed blood dragons, don't let me run into you in the second stage. I, Yuan Shi, swear that I will make the two of you pay the price." Yuan Shi, who could not control his killing chi, walked past the two. When he looked at Xiao Jinyu and Lu Feng, he looked like he wanted to attack on the spot. If not for these two, how could he not be a match for Ling Xiao? However, just at this moment, Yuan Shi's expression turned grave. he suddenly discovered an even more terrifying killing qi surging towards him. Then Xiaochen said coldly, "I, Xiaochen, swear that if you dare to take revenge on the two of them, I will return it tenfold. Let me warn you, don't let me run into you in the second stage, either." Even when facing Qin Mu's mockery, Xiaochen did not get angry or take the initiative to say anything. However, this Yuanqi truly angered Xiaochen somewhat. The sword wounds on Lu Feng and Xiao Jinyu had already angered Xiaochen somewhat. Xiaochen had been too ruthless in his attacks. Some of the wounds would have resulted in unimaginable consequences if they had not been slightly off target. To think that this Yuanqi did not intend to let them off, wanting to take revenge in the second stage. This touched on Xiaochen's reverse scale. Yuanqi felt startled for some reason. Xiaochen's killing qi had already affected his mental state. Yuanqi forced a cold smile and said, "Do you think I'm afraid of you?" After saying that, Yuanqi immediately left, not daring to compete in killing qi with Xiaochen. "Junior brother, there is no need to be so serious. Perhaps he is just joking. After all, we are all from the dragon race." Lu Feng felt somewhat surprised when he saw Xiaochen's grave expression. Xiaochen said softly, "That better be the case. Let's go. The first palace master is still waiting for us. Let the first palace master treat your injuries." "Right." Ling Xiao, who remained in the formation plate, watched as the three left. He muttered, "It turns out that I relied on these two to get third place. This is really shocking. To think that Yuanqi suffered at the hands of these two in terms of the sword Dao. It looks like the Heaven Dragon Palace cannot be underestimated." When Xiaochen returned to the Heaven Dragon Palace's group, the first palace master had already been waiting for him for a long time. "Fortunately, I did not fail," Xiaochen said seriously as he performed a cupped fist salute and bowed. You can't. Elder Tianyun quickly stepped forward and stopped Xiaochen from continuing to bow. He said, "Since you can stand at the top of the Heaven Dragon Palace, there is no need for you to bow to anyone. The rules of our Heaven Dragon Palace are not that strict. Furthermore, you are our hero. The first palace master and I, as well as all the disciples, have to thank you." The first palace master smiled warmly and said, "Tianyun is right. I have not been this happy in many years already. It has really been many years." The nearby Heaven-class core disciples were still young. However, the first palace master had experienced a lot. His calm words contained a sense of vicissitudes that others would find hard to sense. The first palace master looked around and fixed his gaze on Lu Feng and Xiao Jinyu. A gratified expression flashed in his eyes as he said, "Very good. This time, the Heaven Dragon Palace has not only Xiaochen but also the two of you. Come with me. I will personally treat your injuries." The first palace master should have a lot more to say. However, when the first palace master saw Xiao Jinyu's and Lu Feng's injuries, he spoke briefly before personally removing the sword intent from their bodies. On the other side, the Silver Dragon Palace's second palace master reprimanded Yuanqi with a cold expression, appearing extremely angry. Being at the bottom meant obtaining only 15 spots. This was completely unacceptable to the Silver Dragon Palace. The Silver Dragon Palace had deep accumulations. Its Heaven-class core disciples were second only to the Golden Dragon Palace. 15 spots meant that most of the people would not qualify to enter the second stage. Yuanqi knew that he could not refute, so he lowered his head in silence. Chapter 2017. The Silver Dragon Palace's palace master felt extremely angry after Yuanqi was taught a miserable lesson. The Silver Dragon Palace's palace master had high hopes for Yuanqi and poured countless resources into him. In the end, Yuanqi ranked last in the first stage. The Silver Dragon Palace's palace master's reprimand was just short of calling Yuanqi trash. "Elder Mu, treat his injuries. You should reflect on yourself. Don't make any more mistakes in the second stage." The Silver Dragon Palace's palace master left after saying that. Yuanqi felt incredibly sullen. He looked around and fixed his gaze on Lu Feng and Xiao Jinyu. However, Yuanqi's gaze lingered on these two for only 1 second before landing on Xiaochen. "It's him." Back when the three outer palaces gathered, If not for Yuanxi giving Lu Feng a chance to seek defeat, Lu Feng would not have improved so much. When Yuanxi thought about Xiao Chen's earlier threat, the rage in his heart nearly spewed out. Damn it! To think that a mixed blood dragon can obtain the first rank, and even dare to threaten me. The repeated reprimands twisted Yuanxi's heart somewhat. If not for the situation, Yuanxi would have had the urge to attack Xiao Chen on the spot. The second stage, which would determine the final rankings and results, was about to begin. The various outer palaces' palace masters personally reserved all sorts of peak-grade medicinal pills for their trump cards, not stingy at all. On the light steps, the group of elders from Ancestor Dragon City felt surprised at the results of the first stage. Unexpectedly, a disciple of the Heaven Dragon Palace obtained the top rank of the first stage. This Xiao Chen is rather interesting. There does not seem to be such a noble clan in the Divine Dragon Empire. Such a result is actually a good thing. The Heaven Dragon Palace has been at the bottom for many years. If they can get a good result in this competition between the 7 outer palaces, they can resolve the conflict between the mixed blood dragons and the divine dragon cultivators. The white-bearded old man revealed a smile. Clearly, he was very satisfied with such a result. Not only could he resolve the conflict between the mixed blood dragons and the divine dragon cultivators, but he could also suppress the Golden Dragon Palace, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The white-bearded old man's gaze fell on Xiao Chen. Then he nodded repeatedly. Suddenly he exclaimed, "Heaven Dragon's mysteries." With a single glance, he could tell that Xiao Chen had comprehended the Heaven Dragon profundity. My goodness! The Heaven Dragon Palace was really going to prosper. The white-bearded old man was secretly shocked. Being able to comprehend the profundity of the Heaven Dragon was already an extremely rare feat, not to mention. Xiao Chen was still young, and the wisp of Heaven Dragon's profound meaning seemed to have already materialized. Not long after, a thoughtful look flashed in his eyes, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. Summoning a man, he lowered his head and whispered a few words into his ear. That man received the order and left. In the Golden Dragon Palace's group, after Qin Mu swallowed a Heaven Tier Rank 7 top-grade medicinal pill, his quintessential essence and soul power were recovering at an extremely fast speed. However, his complexion was not very good. His face was dark, and he looked as if he didn't want anyone to approach him. Everyone could see that he was in an extremely bad mood. It was best not to provoke him at this time. How many years had it been since he had occupied the number 1 spot in the Outer Palace? Yet, at such a crucial moment, someone had trampled on him, becoming a stepping stone for others, a background. When Qin Mu pushed open the ancient bronze door, he could only watch as the other party shot out and landed first. At that instant, no one could understand Qin Mu's emotions. A proud person like Qin Mu found it hard to accept defeat, much less a mixed blood dragon. Qin Mu. The Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd Palace Master walked over and looked at Qin Mu worriedly. 3rd Palace Master. Qin Mu nodded slightly, not bowing or greeting. Don't overthink. The first stage is not important. The second stage is the final ranking. The first stage is actually nothing, the Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd Palace Master consoled. Although the Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd Palace Master felt extremely upset, the competition between the 7 outer palaces was not over yet. He could not allow anything to go wrong. He needed to appease Qin Mu's mental state. Otherwise, he would be in trouble if he could not obtain the first rank in the second stage. Qin Mu retorted coldly, 3rd Palace Master, do you think that I cannot control my mental state? That's not it. Don't worry. I was just unlucky in the first stage, running into the Red Dragon Palace's madman. I was careless and did not use some of my trump cards. 3rd Palace Master, there is no need to worry about me. Haha, that is good. After all, he is just a mixed blood dragon. I don't believe that he can overturn the situation. As the Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd Palace Master spoke, he appeared somewhat excited. Clearly, Elder Tianyun's words on the light steps still made him feel conflicted. 3rd Palace Master, we are filled with confidence in you. Senior brother, we are filled with confidence in you as well. The Golden Dragon Palace disciples at the back said at the same time. The Golden Dragon Palace's face had never been so humiliated before. They needed to regain it. The Golden Dragon Palace could only place this hope on Qin Mu. Qin Mu felt slightly stunned. After a while he said, "Don't worry. An insignificant mixed-blood dragon cannot trample on the dignity of a golden dragon." In the Heaven Dragon Palace's group, Lu Feng's and Xiao Jinyu's injuries had mostly healed. They could still display their abilities in the second stage. Right now, all the Heaven Dragon Palace disciples were excited. They were filled with confidence in the second stage. As long as Xiao Chun was around, he could create miracles at any time. When the first palace master saw this, he showed a gratified expression. Unknowingly, the Heaven Dragon Palace's appearance seemed to have undergone hundreds of changes with Xiao Chen's arrival. Xiao Chen's aura and spirit had already influenced the many inner and outer palace disciples. Now he even encouraged the Heaven-class core disciples in this competition between the 7 outer palaces. Everyone in the Heaven Dragon Palace was influenced by Xiao Chun. Even the upper echelon felt gratified. The Heaven Dragon Palace and Xiao Chun had long since merged into one. No matter how much time passed, Xiao Chun's deeds would definitely be passed down in the Heaven Dragon Palace for generations. Xiao Chun encouraged the mixed-blood dragon disciples at the bottom of the Divine Dragon Empire. Indomitable spirit, never giving up until the very end. This was the most valuable gift that Xiao Chun gave to the mixed-blood dragons. From the moment he left the stage until now, Xiao Chun could feel many gazes on him. There was surprise, shock, disdain, and cold smiles. There was even a murderous intent. However, it did not matter. Xiao Chun did not mind. The only thing that surprised him was that the mysterious old man from Ancestor Dragon City on the light steps had been staring at him for a long time. Before he knew it, 2 hours had passed. However, Whitebeard showed no signs of announcing the start of the second stage. Many people started to feel suspicious. First Palace Master, why has the second stage not been announced yet? A disciple in the Heaven Dragon Palace asked Exian. Exian's expression remained calm. That's normal. If there are no surprises, the second stage will take place in the formation world. As for the specific test, we will need some time to arrange it. The operation and maintenance of this formation is an extremely complicated matter. It is not as simple as it looks. Furthermore, it is good that it takes longer. It will give you more time to prepare. I hope that it takes as long as possible. That disciple had only asked casually. When he heard that, he did not say anything more. Xiao Chun, Li Luo, and the others sat together, chatting with relaxed expressions. What do you think Ancestor Dragon City is like? Xiao Jinyu asked out of curiosity. A look of anticipation flashed in his eyes, showing a yearning for Ancestor Dragon City. Senior brother Bai is the most qualified to answer this question, Li Luo said with a smile. Bai Yunfeng smiled casually and said, I have never been there either. However, when I was with my senior brothers in Ancestor Dragon City, I heard a little about it. Ancestor Dragon City was built on an extremely ancient dragon race remnant that dates back several epochs. Even now, it has not been fully explored. Most of the dragon race secret techniques that we can cultivate came from there. Speaking of mysterious, it is naturally extremely mysterious. Even the Dragon Kings do not know all of Ancestor Dragon City's secrets. While it is not mysterious, it is just the inner sect of a sect. It is no different from the other Rank 7 sections. There will be competition and challenges, and it will not be easy. However, no matter what, being able to enter it will be of great help to us dragon race cultivators on the path of the martial Tao. Bai Yunfeng's words stirred everyone's yearning for Ancestor Dragon City. Seeing that they would have a chance to enter Ancestor Dragon City after clearing the second stage, everyone became excited. Everyone discussed why they wanted to enter Ancestor Dragon City. Xiao Chun listened quietly at the side with a smile on his face. Junior brother Xiao Chun, why don't you tell us as well? Why do you want to enter Ancestor Dragon City? Bai Yunfeng asked when he saw Xiao Chun remaining silent. Right. Junior brother Xiao Chun, tell us as well. Everyone felt incredibly curious. Their gazes fell on Xiao Chun, waiting for him to speak. When Xiao Chun saw the situation, he smiled helplessly. You might not believe me, but I entered Ancestor Dragon City mainly to meet someone. I believe you. I guess it must be a woman, a very, very beautiful woman. Li Luo smiled craftily, showing a rare mischievous side. Everyone laughed. No one believed that their junior brother Xiao Chun, who was so dedicated to the martial Dao, would really meet a woman. Xiao Chun laughed as well but did not rebut. No matter what the results of the second stage are, I, Lu Feng, feel that it is all worth it to be able to fight alongside everyone today. The usually cold Lu Feng showed rare signs of emotion. Everyone was indeed very happy today. Such happiness was something that they had not experienced in many years. Junior brother Xiao Chun, thank you, Lu Feng said sincerely. Then he looked seriously at Xiao Chun and said, really thank you. You don't know this, but all the disciples of our Heaven Dragon Palace are very grateful to you. It is not just because you obtained the first rank. It has been many years. Those Divine Dragon Palace disciples have looked down on us. Even our own people look down on each other. Without you, everyone would not be so united. We would not have the courage to challenge the second stage. When Lu Feng said this, the other disciples of the Heaven Dragon Palace all stopped talking, regardless of whether they were standing or sitting, regardless of how far away they were. All the Heaven Class Core disciples looked at Xiao Chun. Actually, these were what they wanted to say in their hearts as well. Xiao Chun felt somewhat moved in his heart. He looked around and said, I have to thank all of you as well. I have wandered for many years, suffered a lot, and experienced many difficulties. The Heaven Dragon Palace made me feel like home again. I will never regret joining the Heaven Dragon Palace, or getting to know all of you. At this moment, everyone in the Heaven Dragon Palace was of one mind, united as a fortress. Just at this moment, the white-bearded old man on the light steps finally spoke. The second stage was about to begin. The entire place fell silent. The long-awaited moment was finally about to arrive. In the air, the white-bearded old man looked around and said, the second stage is about to begin. However, before I announce the rules and start, I have something else to announce. Heaven Dragon Palace's Xiao Chun, come out. The white-bearded old man showed a grave expression as he fixed his gaze on Xiao Chun. Before everyone's strange gazes, Xiao Chun walked out. The other Outer Palace disciples were all startled. To think that Xiao Chun directly attracted the attention of Ancestor Dragon City's Lord Feng. Was it because his performance in the first stage was too good, and wanted Xiao Chun to join Ancestor Dragon City? I formally announce that the Heaven Dragon Palace's Xiao Chun is disqualified from the competition between the 7 Outer Palaces, effective immediately. No one is allowed to object. Whoosh. The moment Lu Feng said this, everyone was shocked. Chapter 2018. Disqualification? When they heard this, everyone wondered if they had heard wrongly. He looked around and realized that the others were just as dumbfounded as he was. What Lord Feng said was indeed correct, to disqualify Xiao Chun from participating in the 7 Royal Highness tournament. What happened? What's going on? Why is he suddenly disqualified? I don't think this has ever happened before. Puzzled questions hovered in everyone's mind. Even Qin Mu frowned slightly as he looked at the Golden Dragon Palace's 3rd Palace Master. The other party shook his head, indicating that he was confused as well. In the Blue Dragon Palace, Situ Changfeng exclaimed in shock. Why was he suddenly disqualified? This was especially the case with Lord Feng's words. They were extremely serious and did not seem like they were joking at all. First Palace Master Exian looked up and smiled embarrassedly. Lord Feng, are you joking? The white-bearded old man said coldly. Do you think I'm someone who would joke around? These words completely confirmed Lord Feng's attitude. Xiao Chun's qualifications were really going to be revoked. Aside from confusion and doubt, the other Divine Dragon Palace disciples immediately felt a strange feeling in their hearts. Suddenly, there was one less heavyweight opponent. The second round seemed to be a lot easier. No, we don't accept this. Why did you disqualify junior brother Xiao Chun? Even if you are from Ancestor Dragon City, you should at least give an explanation. What did junior brother Xiao Chun do wrong? Why did you disqualify us? Is Ancestor Dragon City targeting our Heaven Dragon Palace? Damn it, how could this be? The disciples of Heaven Dragon Hall, on the other hand, fell into a state of frenzy. This blow was truly too sudden for them. I can't accept it. I can't accept it at all. Exian, take care of your disciple. I have something to ask Xiaochun. Rage flashed in Lord Feng's eyes as he berated the first palace master. The first palace master endured the dissatisfaction and rage in his heart. He stopped the first palace master and said, "Don't argue first. Let Lord Feng ask the questions. I want to know what exactly happened as well." Although he was dissatisfied, he knew Ancestor Dragon City's Lord Feng would not make random decisions without thinking. The place fell silent once more. Lord Feng's gaze landed on Xiaochun as he said in a deep voice, "Xiaochun? I want to know who you are and what is your identity. Why did you sneak into my Divine Dragon Empire and join the Heaven Dragon Palace? What is your scheme?" Xiaochun was shocked. He knew that his fake identity had been exposed. Xiaochun was not a person of the Divine Dragon Empire. Back then, for the sake of joining the Heaven Dragon Palace, he had to fake an identity. However, this wasn't the main point. The main point was why the other party wanted to investigate him. Xiaochun couldn't be sure what had gone wrong. The first palace master was startled when he heard this. Lord Feng's words were implying that Xiaochun's identity was fake. That's impossible, right? What's so good about forging the identity of a mixed-blood dragon? The Divine Dragon Empire had tens of thousands of mixed-blood dragon cultivators. Under normal circumstances, no one would pay much attention to them. I am Xiaochun, the Heaven Dragon Palace's Heaven-class core disciple Xiaochun. I am a dragon race disciple in the first place. I cannot be considered to have sneaked into the Divine Dragon Empire, Xiaochun said softly with a calm expression. Lord Feng retorted coldly. You still want to quibble? I already ordered people to use Ancestor Dragon City's Special Intelligence Network to investigate your background. Why do you think the second stage was delayed for so long? I have no proof, so why would I speak carelessly? Earlier, when Lord Feng was observing Xiaochun, he accidentally discovered that the aura of Xiaochun's bloodline was somewhat strange. Xiaochun did not have the bloodline of the six-colored divine dragons or a true dragon or a mixed-blood dragon. As for what bloodline it was, Lord Feng did not dare to be sure. However, this was clearly somewhat strange. Lord Feng could not help but suspect it. Lord Feng ordered people to use the intelligence network to investigate Xiaochun's background. It would have been fine if he had not done so. With one check, Lord Feng discovered that Xiaochun's identity was fake. Then he connected this to his strange bloodline. Clearly, this person was not qualified to continue participating in the competition between the 7 outer palaces. Before Lord Feng figured out the matter, he definitely could not let Xiaochun enter Ancestor Dragon City. His identity is fake? The Heaven Dragon Palace disciples were somewhat surprised, not daring to believe it. The other Divine Dragon Palace disciples were similarly shocked. As they looked at Xiaochun, their expressions turned somewhat strange. Xiaochun faked his identity, altered his bloodline, and infiltrated the Divine Dragon Empire. The Divine Dragon Empire was one of the northern region's giants. Even in the Central Great Realm, it could be considered a super faction. Naturally, the other factions would send scouts. Xiaochun did not say anything, tacitly agreeing to it. Lord Feng showed a sullen expression as he said, I thought that an incredible person appeared in the Heaven Dragon Palace. It turns out that he is just a spy. I nearly let you sneak into Ancestor Dragon City. Fortunately, you can't hide your bloodline from this old man. Which faction sent you? The situation changed somewhat quickly. Earlier, Xiaochun was the center of attention, the dark horse that suppressed Qin Mu. In the blink of an eye, Xiaochun's identity changed, becoming a spy. Lord Feng wanted to capture Xiaochun on the spot. No faction. I am just a dragon race disciple wandering outside. I have no identity. Sir Feng, you can say that I forged my identity, but don't say that I'm a spy. Now that things had come to this, Xiaochun didn't want to explain too much, but the word spy was a bit of an insult to him. The first palace master hurriedly said, Lord Feng, the matter of forging an identity is really not a big deal. In this great thousand realms, there are really many dragon race martial artists wandering outside. The dragon race bloodline in Xiao Chen's body cannot be faked. It's impossible for him to be a spy. Sir Feng, this matter cannot be concluded so quickly. There have been cases of fake identities in the past. It can be big or small, but it's still a bit inappropriate to say that Xiao Chen is a spy so decisively. The Green Dragon Palace's palace master said softly as he stepped forward. The label of being a spy was a little too big. Once it was confirmed that one was a spy, it was basically a death sentence. No one could save them. Out of caution, the Green Dragon Palace's palace master helped to say something. When Lord Feng saw the situation, he entered deep thought. Then he looked at Xiao Chen and said, "Not to mention faking movement techniques, the bloodline in his body is the greatest doubt. I'll give you one chance. Return to Ancestor Dragon City with me. After I investigate the truth of your bloodline, I will naturally clear your name." Return to Ancestor Dragon City to test his bloodline? Xiao Chen roughly understood what was going on. The other party felt that his bloodline was a little strange, but could not determine that he was of the Blue Dragon bloodline. In the end, they had underestimated the people of Ancestor Dragon City. Although most people could not recognize the Heaven Dragon imprisoned in the Starry Heavens Dragon prison, most people would not be able to recognize its bloodline. But that didn't mean it wouldn't arouse suspicion. "Sorry, I can't go." "Xiao Chen, why don't you go?" "Go. As long as I can verify that you really have the bloodline of the dragon race, a fake identity is nothing. I will guarantee your safety." The first palace master shouted uncontrollably at Xiao Chen's rejection, unable to control his emotions. Xiao Chen felt a trace of warmth in his heart. However, he could only smile bitterly. "First palace master, I can swear that I am definitely of the dragon race. However, I really can't go." If Xiao Chen went to Ancestor Dragon City, if the old monsters of Ancestor Dragon City came out, they would definitely recognize his bloodline. Xiao Chen had no idea how the blue dragon race went extinct. How could he dare to expose himself? Xiao Chen really wanted to go to Ancestor Dragon City. However, he really did not want to enter like this. After more than 5 years of wandering and suffering, Xiao Chen gritted his teeth and arrived here. It looked like he was about to succeed. He could enter Ancestor Dragon City and meet the people he wanted to meet. He was only half a step away from the door, but it ended in the blink of an eye. The affairs of the world were like unfathomable. The bitterness was indescribable. Who could understand my heart? Before Lord Feng could say anything, the Golden Dragon Palace Master suddenly smiled coldly. "Interesting. Where do you get your confidence to think that you have the right to refuse? Since Lord Feng has spoken, you have to go whether you want to or not. Spy, you are really mocking my divine dragon empire for having no one left. Today, I will take you down on behalf of Lord Feng." Right after the Golden Dragon Palace Master spoke, a dragon roar came from his body. Then he soared into the air and threw a punch at Xiao Chen. This punch seemed to merge with the sky, spreading Emperor's might. This was the Emperor Dragon Fist that only the Golden Dragon Royal Clan could cultivate. A brilliant Emperor's might surged out from the fist light, pressing down on Xiao Chen. When Lord Feng saw the situation, he frowned slightly. He knew that this Qin Mu wanted to use this opportunity to trample on Xiao Chen, to vent the hatred in his heart from having the first rank snatched away. However, after thinking about it, it was not appropriate for Lord Feng to make a move to capture this Xiao Chen. After all, Xiao Chen's identity was there. There was no harm in letting this Qin Mu make a move. Xiao Chen knew that his chances of leaving today were minuscule. However, this insignificant Qin Mu also wanted to use this opportunity to trample on him. This was truly laughable. In the 4 seas and 8 desolates, the group of dragons is leaderless. The world is unfair, and the evil dragon rules. How can one be respected? Luck is not on one's side, and life is as fragile as paper. Xiao Chen shouted, and he circulated his energy for the Supreme Dragon Fist together with that trace of the Heaven Dragon's mysteries. An unruly and berserk dragon might immediately burst out from Xiao Chen's body. When facing this punch that merged with the sky and contained a vast aura and a brilliant Emperor's might, Xiao Chen did not show any weakness. He punched with a grand and lofty Emperor's might, not showing any weakness. Supreme Dragon Fist. This is the Supreme Dragon Fist. The Dragon's Gate's forbidden technique, the Supreme Dragon Fist, was very famous. Practically all the Heaven-class core disciples present knew about it. However, this was the first time they truly saw it. The terrifying dragon might that erupted from Xiao Chen's body startled them. The moment this dragon might appeared, even the Emperor Dragon's might, which represented the orthodox Emperor Dragon, paled in comparison. Chapter 2019. Emperor Dragon Fist. The Dragon Clan's King's Fist technique had been passed down for tens of thousands of years. This fist technique was famous for being overbearing and violent. It was known as the Dragon Clan's #1 offensive fist technique. The threshold for cultivating this fist technique was also extremely high. Only the bloodline of the Dragon Emperor, the royal bloodline that inherited the fate of the empire, could cultivate it. When this fist was unleashed, all other fist techniques would pale in comparison. He was renowned throughout the entire Central world, and there were very few people who could match up to him. However, 100 years ago, the Supreme Dragon Fist appeared out of nowhere. It became the most tyrannical fist technique of the dragon race in one go, peerless. Even the Emperor Dragon Fist paled in comparison. However, Xiao Chen's cultivation requirements were even more difficult than the Emperor Dragon Fist. The resentment and viciousness contained within it was even more difficult to control. And the slightest carelessness would cause one to lose control of one's heart and fall into the path of the devil. The harsh conditions, the difficulty of cultivation, and the fact that the previous Heaven Dragon was imprisoned in the Starry Sky Dragon Penitentiary. This fist technique was like a meteor, shining brightly in the starry sky of the Empire. After releasing the most resplendent light, it instantly vanished. Since the previous Heaven Dragon was imprisoned, Xiao Chen was the second dragon race cultivator to execute the Supreme Dragon Fist. In the sky, Xiao Chen and Qin Mu fought an intense battle. One side used the Sovereign Dao Orthodox Emperor Dragon Fist that had been passed down for a long time. On one side was the unruly Supreme Dragon Fist, which raged at the unfairness of the world and hated it for being unfair. Bang! Bang! The vast and boundless fist might in the air was like a clap of thunder, deafening. Dragon roars resounded in all directions. It was not just a competition between the two fist techniques, but also the understanding and application of the Dragon Clan martial arts behind the fist techniques. A golden dragon might spread out in the entire sky behind Qin Mu. The clouds for 5,000 kilometers around sparkled with a dazzling golden light. A golden divine dragon containing emperor's might was hidden in the clouds. Nobility, pride, sharpness, luck. The vast dragon might hidden in the boundless clouds exuded a will that made one submit to it. As for Xiao Chen, he was dressed in white, and there was a sharp glint between his brows. Xiao Chen's long hair and clothes fluttered in the wind of the killing intent. His entire body looked sharp and sharp. The might of the Heaven Dragon spread out in all directions. The evil dragon was in charge, angry at the unfairness of the heavens. The intimidating dragon roar was filled with arrogance and unwillingness to submit to the orthodox dragon might. No one expected Xiao Chen to use the Supreme Dragon Fist to face Qin Mu. Even more unexpectedly, Qin Mu's Emperor Dragon Fist quickly recovered after being at a disadvantage at first. His entire body was bathed in golden light, making him look like a golden god of war. The heavens and the earth trembled. The wrath of the Emperor Dragon was the wrath of the heavens. It was one with the heavens, and carried the might of the heavens to intimidate the group of dragons. On the light steps, the white-bearded old man wore a gloomy expression. The elders from Ancestor Dragon City behind all appeared somewhat shocked, forgetting about Xiao Chen's earlier identity. Below, the first palace master's heart sank. He knew that Xiao Chen was doing this on purpose. Supreme Dragon Fist. Supreme Dragon Fist. The Supreme Dragon Fist represented the highest martial technique of the dragon race. If not for the dragon race bloodline in one's body, one would not be able to successfully practice it. If one did not comprehend the mysteries of the Heaven Dragon, one would not be able to bring out such might. This was a refusal to submit. With just a few words, the white-bearded old man identified him as a spy and sent him to Ancestor Dragon City to investigate his bloodline. This was a refusal to submit. However, since the first palace master could tell, How could Lord Feng not? The first palace master sighed in his heart. Given Lord Feng's temper, how could he endure this? This fellow is really rebelling against the heavens. On the light steps, the gloomy white-bearded old man snorted coldly, anger appearing on his face. Even if this old man said something wrong, it is an ironclad fact that you used a fake identity to sneak into the Divine Dragon Empire. If you have any grievances, come with me to Ancestor Dragon City, and everything will be clear. Now that Xiao Chen displayed this supreme dragon fist, it was like slapping his old face. In the air, Qin Mu, who suppressed Xiao Chen again, revealed a cold smile. The supreme dragon fist is merely so. Qin Mu's Emperor Dragon Fist indeed had a deep essence. This fist technique had been passed down for tens of thousands of years, and had been systematically developed long ago. There would not be any drawbacks. On the other hand, the Supreme Dragon Fist had only been around for 100 years. There were too many areas that needed to be improved. Back then, that arrogant heaven dragon could defeat my uncle. Today, I will use the Emperor Dragon Fist to defeat you again. Emperor Dragon Fist, Sovereign Descent. Qin Mu shouted. The vast dragon might hidden in the clouds for 5,000 kilometers around suddenly infused into his body. His entire body immediately erupted with resplendent golden light. The Emperor Dragon might nearly turn solid. Boom. As the dragon might surged out, the ground, aside from the formation plate, cracked and sank. 25 years ago, the purple gold dragon emperor suppressed the heaven dragon. Could it be that the same scene would repeat itself today? The many heaven dragon palace disciples could not help showing expressions of despair. Seeing the other party bring out his killing move, Xiao Chen snorted coldly and suddenly waved his hand. The state of the supreme dragon fist scattered from his body. Such a scene frightened many people. What was Xiao Chen trying to do? In the next moment, surging killing chi erupted from Xiao Chen's body. Buddhist sect's 7-kill seal. It was like the lotus flower never touching water, or the sun and moon never remaining in the sky. The killing chi on Xiao Chen's body multiplied. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Each wave was stronger than the one before. The horrifying killing chi spread out in all directions, penetrating deep into the hearts of the many disciples. This made them feel some fear. You clown! I'll show you the true Supreme Dragon Fist. Xiao Chen snorted coldly. This time, he did not use resentment to drive the Supreme Dragon Fist. Instead, he used killing chi to drive the Supreme Dragon Fist. Supreme Dragon Fist, raging at the unfair heaven. At this moment, boundless killing chi merged with the lofty aspirations in Xiao Chen's heart. He drove his emotions to the limit, and an ancient dragon roar rang out in Xiao Chen's body like a bell ringing. The sound of the bell was long and drawn out. The dragon roar reverberated in the air, long and unending. This was killing chi rage, and the inextinguishable lofty aspirations and pride in Xiao Chen's heart. This punch raged at the unfair heaven, venting the dissatisfaction in his heart. He could not accept this evil dragon that ruled the world. He could not accept that Ancestor Dragon City's old man treated him as a spy with just a few words. He could not accept that white-bearded old man doubting the authenticity of his dragon race bloodline. Xiao Chen's chi and blood surged. This punch also activated the pride of the blue dragon bloodline in Xiao Chen's body. Unbeknownst to Xiao Chen, this pride silently merged with the heaven dragon's mysteries in his body. Bang! Two terrifying fists collided with each other in an instant. A resplendent light appeared amid a loud sound. Qin Mu, who carried the vast and boundless dragon might of a royal emperor's bloodline, pressed down, wanting to crush Xiao Chen on the spot and trample on him. Pussy! Pussy! Xiao Chen vomited a mouthful of blood, dyeing his clothes red. Kill! However, Xiao Chen did not show any panic or fear on his face. He shouted, and his killing chi gathered again. Crack! Crack! Qin Mu was somewhat shocked to discover that the Emperor Dragon's dragon might supporting him slowly cracked under the assault of this punch. Before Qin Mu could react, the overwhelming killing chi behind Xiao Chen surged over like waves. Bang! 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 In the end, Qin Mu could not block the dragon might on his body. It shattered under the wave after wave of fist light. Qin Mu vomited a mouthful of blood, and his dragon might vanished. Xiao Chen's punch knocked him into the air. All the bones in Qin Mu's body shattered, and his internal organs were destroyed. His complexion paled as his life force drained continuously. Supreme Dragon Fist, ruling the surroundings. Xiao Chen punched again in one go. The fist light gathered into a war banner. The dragon might spreading out in the surroundings continuously infused into the war banner. No! Several Golden Dragon Palace disciples cried out hoarsely. The third palace master paled in fright. At this speed, he could not save Qin Mu in time. It looked like this sure-kill punch would end Qin Mu. The white-bearded old man on the light steps shouted coldly. Then he ferociously grabbed the war banner, which contained Xiao Chen's veritable essence energy, will of soul, and boundless killing qi. Crack! The war banner shattered, and Xiao Chen's mind and soul were injured. He vomited a mouthful of blood as he flew to the ground. The white-bearded old man casually flung his arm and said coldly, "The Heaven Dragon Palace's Xiao Chen faked his identity and snuck into the empire. He offended his superiors and offended this lord. Furthermore, he tried to murder the Golden Dragon Palace's Qin Mu. He deserves 10,000 deaths for his crimes. Capture him and await punishment." Yes. With the white-bearded old man's command, many dragon race experts immediately appeared from all directions, chasing after Xiao Chen. No one expected Lord Feng to personally attack Xiao Chen, and even accuse him of so many crimes. With this, Xiao Chen was finished. Damn it! What dog's hit Ancestor Dragon City is this? It was clearly this Qin Mu who wanted to kill Xiao Chen, alright? Without any evidence, he labeled Xiao Chen as a spy. This is simply despicable. Anyone who wants to take down Xiao Chen will have to go through me, Morong Yen. The Red Dragon Palace's Morong Yen could no longer endure it. Now that he saw Lord Feng personally injure Xiao Chen, he completely erupted. He ignored the Red Dragon Palace elders' attempts to stop him and soared into the air, instantly clashing with the dragon race experts flying over from all directions. Protect junior brother Xiao Chen. Even Morong Yen made a move. How could the many Heaven Dragon Palace disciples have any fear? They only relied on their hearts and made decisions that they normally would not dare to make. They stood together with the various dragon race guards. The originally somewhat chaotic scene instantly descended into absolute chaos. The dragon race experts who came to capture Xiao Chen on Lord Feng's command were all blocked. Amidst the chaos, a gentle breeze blew. Let's go. Situ Changfeng weaved through the chaotic crowd and supported Xiao Chen, who was injured by Lord Feng, on his shoulder. Then he quickly left. On the light steps, the white-bearded old man showed an enraged expression. He looked around and instantly locked on to Situ Changfeng and Xiao Chen, who wanted to take advantage of the chaos to flee. To think that you want to flee under my nose. You are seeking death. However, just as the white-bearded old man was about to make a move, a small world made of flames suddenly appeared before him. The small world expanded continuously, turning into a complete nation. Then it smashed down on the group of people on the light steps. The appearance of the nation of flames completely blocked the white-bearded old man's vision. Aside from this nation, there was nothing else. Firmament's rage. Exian, you can't resist making a move as well? The white-bearded old man showed a cold expression. He immediately recognized this move. This was the famous consummate technique that the Heaven Dragon Palace's first palace master, Exian, used to sweep through the northern region, Firmament's Rage. This Firmament's Rage was much mightier than the one that Xiao Chen executed. It was complete and looked flawless, like a real world. The raging flames of a great desolate Aeon ancestor dragon filled the sky. However, a nation of flames flew over, temporarily separating them from reality. The first palace master slowly appeared in the nation of flames. Then he looked at the white-bearded old man and said, "My apologies, Lord Feng. I have never disobeyed my lord's orders in my life, but this time, since he does not want to go to Ancestor Dragon City to verify his bloodline and clear his name, my lord, just let him go. Sir, just let him go. No matter what his motives are, just let him go." The white-bearded old man was very old. When the first palace master was young, he was already a senior expert of Ancestor Dragon City. The white-bearded old man possessed extremely terrifying strength. In terms of friendship, he had even saved the first palace master's life. You think that you can stop me? It has not started yet. How can I give up? If I don't try, who knows? Chapter 2020. The first palace master made a move, while the white-bearded old man and the other ancestor dragon city experts from Lanzhou attacked. The entire place turned chaotic. The palace masters of the various outer palaces were shocked by the Heaven Dragon Palace master's attack, all of them stunned. This Wuxia is crazy. To think that he dares to attack Lord Feng. What kind of status does Lord Feng have? He is the Dragon's Gate's supreme elder. Does he want to die? Why is this fellow doing this? The first palace master's attack shocked everyone. It was also this moment that gave Situ Changfeng a small opportunity. Situ Changfeng turned into a shadow and quickly left with Xiao Chun. Boom, boom, boom. Loud sounds rang out in the air. The shockwaves from Wuxian's and Lord Feng's fight spread out. Countless horrifying fireballs fell from the sky, looking like blazing suns descending. In an instant, no one was able to avoid this storm. Many of the outer palace's disciples and elders could not dodge in time, and got injured on the spot. Miserable cries rang out continuously. The various palace masters recovered from their shock, and quickly made a move to protect their outer palace's disciples. Quickly retreat. Quickly retreat. We can't stay here anymore. Quickly leave. The horrifying shock waves from the fight between two sovereign emperors were easy to imagine. Even a sovereign personage would find it hard to protect themselves. The various factions in Divine Dragon City were all shocked. Not knowing what was going on, countless experts soared into the air and gazed into the distance. Wuxia is fighting with Ancestor Dragon City's elders. Is he trying to rebel? Wuxia is one of the few peak experts of the mixed-blood dragon bloodline. Why is he making a move? Today seems to be a major day for the competition between the 7 outer palaces. This is a major matter. It has been many years since such a huge storm has happened in the Divine Dragon Empire. Furthermore, it is in Divine Dragon City. Many of the factions outside the Divine Dragon Empire could not understand what was going on. They felt very confused, not knowing what was going on. When first Palace Master Wuxia made a move, the storm caused by Xiao Chen immediately spiraled out of control. This caused the entire Divine Dragon City to be shaken. There were many factions with good and bad mixed in. The strong ones all rushed over immediately. They needed to figure out what was going on for such a major matter. Amid the chaos, Situ Changfeng supported Xiao Chen and left the center of the chaos. Xiao Chen said weakly, "Thank you, Situ. Let me go. I will walk by myself." With the dragon race's accumulations in Divine Dragon City and the hidden factions, if they searched for Xiao Chen with all their might, the dragon race would not be able to defeat Xiao Chen. It was only a matter of time before they caught him. However, now that the first palace master had suddenly made a move, the situation had spiraled out of control, and he had become the center of the whirlpool. It attracted a lot of firepower and attention for Xiao Chen, giving him a chance of survival. It was already sufficient for Situ Changfeng to help him at the crucial moment. If he continued to get entangled, he would sink even deeper, and the trouble in the future would only be greater. Situ Changfeng said, "Don't speak. You are not familiar with this Divine Dragon City at all. Besides, the city is definitely sealed now. No matter how capable you are, you won't be able to get out." Ignoring Xiao Chen's advice, Situ Changfeng brought Xiao Chen to a remote street and stopped. He looked down at the sky deep in thought. Then he asked somewhat anxiously, "Why is he not here yet?" Just then, a 3-star heaven suspending war chariot appeared in the sky. "Get in." The carriage door opened and the Golden Dragon Palace's Wei Hongfei appeared. Situ Changfeng seemed to have been prepared and had been waiting for a long time. Without saying anything, Situ Changfeng flew into the heaven-suspending war chariot with Xiao Chen. Aside from Wei Hongfei, there was another person in the war chariot, the Green Dragon Palace's Duan Fei. "Brother Duan, please take a look at Xiao Chen's injuries." Situ Changfeng said worriedly as he handed Xiao Chen to Duan Fei. Xiao Chen was a little surprised. He looked around. Everything seemed to have been prepared. Wei Hongfei noticed Xiao Chen's confusion. He said, "When that Lord Feng said that your identity was fake, I knew that things were bad, so I left with Duanfei in advance. I will help you prepare a path of retreat. Leave Situ Yi and Morong Yen behind to provide support. Originally, I had some other methods, but this is all I can do for the time being." "Why did you help me?" "My identity is fake, and my bloodline is still uncertain," Xiao Chen said softly. Situ Hongfei and the others exchanged looks. Then Wei Hongfei said, "After all, we have gone through life and death together. I don't believe that you are a spy. Your dragon race bloodline is definitely real. Even if the whole world doesn't believe you, us brothers will believe you." Xiao Chen was touched and didn't know what to say. Since ancient times, there were many who added flowers to embroidery, but few who provided timely help. To be able to wait for a group of friends to stand up for him in his most difficult time was truly worth it. "Brother Wei, Xiao Chen's main problem is that his soul has been injured. It will be hard for him to recover in a short period of time. I've already done my best to heal my fleshly body. With the help of Xiao Chen's fleshly body, I'll be able to recover soon." Duanfei said with a frown as he treated Xiao Chen. Wei Hongfei said, "We can only do that for now." The heaven-suspending war chariot flew around the city at an extremely fast speed. The shock waves from the fight between the first palace master and Lord Feng had already spread to the entire Divine Dragon City. The fight between the two sovereign emperors stirred up a huge commotion in the ancient city. The entire city turned chaotic. Many people took advantage of the situation, causing chaos everywhere. The city lord's residence's Royal Guard Legion moved out urgently. When the heaven-suspending war chariot arrived above the city gates, the dragon race cultivators at the city gates had already sealed the city. Who knew how many restrictions were laid at the checkpoints? Unless a sovereign emperor came, one could not barge in. "The war chariot in front, please stop. Divine Dragon City has already been sealed. No one is allowed to go out." When the voice reached the heaven-suspending war chariot, the group showed somewhat nervous expressions. Actually, these city guards did not know what exactly happened. They only knew that the city was in chaos, and the sovereign emperors were fighting. According to military rules, they had to seal the city immediately. There was no need to wait for orders from the higher-ups. "Don't panic." Wei Hongfei showed a calm expression as he walked out of the heaven-suspending war chariot. Then he took out a medallion and asked, "Even the Wei clan's people cannot go out?" When the dragon race cultivators saw the medallion, they were startled. The leader hesitated for a while. After verifying the medallion's authenticity, he felt somewhat conflicted. After a while he said, "Since you are the Wei clan's people, naturally, you can pass. Let's go." "Many thanks." Wei Hongfei heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Then he returned to the heaven-suspending war chariot. When the restrictions opened, they rushed out of the city. The leader of the city guards frowned slightly. Then he said sullenly, "Record this. Although we cannot offend the Wei clan's people, he is the first person to successfully leave the city." "My lord, why didn't you check the war chariot earlier?" "Check what? I don't know what happened. Even now there is no concrete news. The major characters are probably busy dealing with the sovereign emperor's fight. Don't bother about that. Just record the time he left the city." Wei Hongfei left the city so easily. Xiao Chen felt somewhat shocked. "So you should listen to me, right? Within the Golden Dragon race, aside from the royal clan, the strongest faction is the Wei clan. With Brother Wei making a move, it should be possible to send Brother Xiao out of the city." Situ Changfeng smiled faintly. Then he gave Xiao Chen an explanation. Xiao Chen now understood. No wonder the city guards gave him so much face. This Divine Dragon City was controlled by the Golden Dragon bloodline. The Golden Dragon bloodline held the highest status in the empire in the first place. With Wei Hongfei's identity, it would not be difficult for him to send Xiao Chen out before the matter was exposed. Xiao Chen's fortunate escape from the city looked like a coincidence. In reality, it was all because of his friend's help. The Heaven Dragon Palace disciples had not fought with the Dragon Race guards to stir up the situation. The first palace master had not suddenly made a move, and caused the situation to escalate beyond control. Without Wei Hongfei's advice and plans, it would have been impossible for Xiao Chun to leave the city. Xiao Chun felt somewhat surprised. After he got into trouble, so many people came to help him. Given the Dragon's Gate's strength, after the situation was settled, they would pursue the matter. These people who helped Xiao Chun would not be able to avoid getting into trouble. With this thought, Xiao Chun could not help feeling guilty. Brother Xiao, let's go quickly. We can only send you out of the city. You will have to rely on yourself for the rest, Wei Hongfei said calmly as he looked at Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun had many things he wanted to say, but he did not know how to express himself. He was not a person who was good at expressing himself. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, "Many thanks. I will never forget today's kindness. Take care." Xiao Chun knew that the situation was urgent. He reluctantly glanced at the Dragon City, then at Wei Hongfei and the other two. Then he decisively turned and left. As Wei Hongfei and the other two watched Xiao Chun leave, they showed somewhat complicated expressions, showing pity in their eyes. How unfortunate. I thought that the few of us could enter Ancestor Dragon City together and roam the northern region together, making a name for ourselves in the dragon race. Wei Hongfei sighed, melancholy filling his face. Soon, the Blood Dragon Guards will make a move. The few of us will disguise ourselves as Brother Xiao Chun and help divert some of his attention. This is all we can do. We can only do this much, Situ Changfeng said after withdrawing his gaze. The Blood Dragon Guards. At the mention of the Blood Dragon Guards, the three's expressions turned somewhat grave. This was a faction hidden in the darkness of the Divine Dragon Empire. This was an existence that inspired fear in everyone. After fleeing Divine Dragon City, Xiao Chun was far from safe. He would only be truly safe if he could avoid the Blood Dragon Guard's eyes and leave the Divine Dragon Empire. Chapter 2021. In a continuous mountain range outside Divine Dragon City, Xiao Chun stood on one of the unremarkable peaks. When he looked back, he remained silent. He had not expected the competition between the 7 outer palaces to end like this. He felt somewhat wronged, somewhat helpless, but mostly guilty. The first palace master took the initiative to fight with Ancestor Dragon City's elders for him. His brothers and friends did not hesitate to oppose Ancestor Dragon City to protect him. After causing such a huge commotion, they would definitely be punished in the end. Big Brother Xiao, are we not leaving? Sang came out of the Divine Universe Steel and looked at Xiao Chun with some worry. Sang was very worried about Xiao Chun's current situation. He knew that Xiao Chun blamed himself and would not be able to calm down for now. Was I too rash? At worst, I'll just make a trip to Ancestor Dragon City. Isn't that just exposing my blue dragon bloodline? Xiao Chun said softly as he looked into the distance. Xiao Chun had always been swift and decisive when doing things, rarely regretting them. However, he had not expected to drag in so many people this time. In reality, Xiao Chun could not be blamed for many things. It was trouble that sought him out, not that he took the initiative to create trouble. Situ Changfeng and the others charged out of their own volition. It was just like how Xiao Chun risked his life to save Situ Changfeng without hesitation in desolate God Valley. All he could do was follow his heart. However, no matter how resolute a heart was, there would be a weak and soft side. There would always be heartache that was hard to control. On this day, Xiao Chun truly felt helpless after his dreams shattered in Divine Dragon City. The land of shattered dreams. Broken dreams. Broken heart. 5 years of wandering. 5 years of heartache. He was just one step away from seeing Lu Ruyue. When Murong Yen attacked in rage and the Heaven Dragon Palace disciples attacked, cracks appeared in that proud and stubborn heart that would never give up. Cracks appeared in that proud and stubborn heart that would never give up. A broken heart that was hard to come by. After the shocking battle during the Great Tribulation of the Kunlun realm, Xiao Chun had not felt such emotions for many years already. Let's go. Xiao Chun could not bear to watch. He could not bear to look at the land of shattered dreams. Where to next? Are we leaving the Divine Dragon Empire? Sang asked. Recuperate first. 3 days later. The commotion in Divine Dragon City slowly calmed down. After the initial commotion, people finally figured out the truth. No one expected the commotion that resulted in two horrifying sovereign emperors fighting in Divine Dragon City. It was actually caused by an inconspicuous outer palace disciple, Xiaochen, a disciple who only had some fame in the outer palaces, instantly swept through the entire Divine Dragon Empire. Whether it was the Imperial Emperor or Star-Lord Cloud Sea, they all knew of this person. In the competition between the 7 palaces, Qin Mu, who had suppressed the Qin family's twin star, had been discovered to be a fake. This had caused a huge commotion. What was even more shocking was that the Blue Dragon Palace's Situ Changfeng, the Golden Dragon Palace's Wei Hongfei, all the Heaven-class core disciples of the Heaven Dragon Palace stepped forward for such a person. As the Heaven Dragon Palace's first palace master, Ian did not hesitate to fight with Ancestor Dragon City's Supreme Elder. Everything was to send this person out of Divine Dragon City. The story was too bizarre, but it was usually the bizarre that would be praised by people. As time went by, people dug up Xiaochen's past deeds of chopping down Rakshasa Tian's clone and rescuing the Flame Dragon Legion alone. This was even more shocking and inconceivable. 7 days later, in a small tea house by the roadside in the ancient dragon city where the White Dragon Palace was, some people sat in a rather desolate tea house, drinking tea and chatting. To think that this Xiaochen has not been caught yet. This is strange. It has already been 7 days, but we have not even seen a shadow of him. This is really ridiculous. The Blood Dragon Guards have always been known for their efficiency. To think that they could not find any clues at all. This is indeed strange. I heard that there was something even more bizarre. There was a dragon race expert skilled in divination who tried to divine Xiaochen's position. In the end, all of them drained their soul energy, vomited blood and fainted. When they woke up, they did not say a word. No one dared to divine where this Xiaochen was anymore. Haha, that is an absolute genius who successfully practiced the Supreme Dragon Fist. There will always be some exceptions. Speaking of the Supreme Dragon Fist, have you heard of it? I heard that the Qin clan's twin stars already brought out the limits of the Emperor Dragon Fist. However, that Xiaochen still defeated them. How come I haven't heard of it? The Emperor Dragon Fist has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. It is the top offensive martial technique of the dragon race, known as the King of Fist Techniques. Even in the entire Central Great Realm, fist techniques that can compare to it are as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Who could have expected that it would lose to the Supreme Dragon Fist? A fortune teller said that the Golden Dragon Palace's luck is already affected. The Golden Dragon bloodline has already sent out the Dragon Protecting Squad. The order is to kill Xiaochen on the spot. The Golden Dragon Palace's group of bastards is really ruthless. However, thinking about it, it makes sense. This Xiaochen is already a threat to their ruling position. If it were me, I would have killed him before there were any signs. In a corner of the tea house, a cloaked figure put down his teacup, left behind some spirit jades, and stood up to leave. The person under the black cloak was Xiaochen. After 10 days, Xiaochen's injuries had healed. After he recovered, he carefully made his way to this place. The White Dragon Palace did not put much effort into pursuing Xiaochen. They did not even search for suspicious people. However, Xiaochen did not lower his guard. When he came to investigate, he only came to this desolate tea house. He did not even go to the more bustling inns. However, there was not much useful information. It was all outdated information. Xiaochen already knew about this 3 days ago. According to the rumors, there were Situ Changfeng, Murongyan, and the many disciples of the Heaven Dragon Palace. Surprisingly, they were not severely punished. They were only disqualified from entering Ancestor Dragon City for 1 year. After that, the various outer palaces dealt with them on their own. This was already the best result. It looked like Ancestor Dragon City still had some boldness and did not make things difficult for these disciples. Xiaochen's only worry was the first palace master. Even now, there had been no news of the first palace master. 1 hour later, Xiaochen stopped at the periphery of the mountain range where the White Dragon Palace was. He had already circled the entire White Dragon Palace. The formations layered over each other. If one tried to barge in, one would just be seeking death. Xiaochen asked, saying, "Do you have a way?" "There's no problem. One of their formations uses the power of the mountains, using everything as a formation. I can communicate with some ancient trees and use that to make a breakthrough. If we are careful, we can enter." "All right." After putting on the death god mask, Xiaochen successfully infiltrated the place after some effort. The death god mask had the ability to isolate all auras. Even a sovereign emperor would find it hard to detect. For the past 10 days, Xiaochen had been able to prevent the various factions from tracking him largely because of the death god mask. When necessary, the death god mask could even merge itself into the void to avoid detection. The White Dragon Palace was extremely vast. When Xiaochen silently barged in at night, he did not attract any attention. Following the route in his memory, Xiaochen carefully made his way to Lu Ruyun's residence. By relying on the death god mask to isolate his aura, Xiaochen evaded the many guards. When the full moon rose, Xiaochen finally arrived at the side of the lake between the towering mountains and precipitous ridges. The lake water was as clear as before. White mist seeped out of the lake's surface at night, making it look even colder when illuminated by the moonlight. An exquisite pavilion shrouded in white mist stood in the center of the lake, appearing indistinct at a glance. Mountains surrounded the surroundings, and the lake water looked like a painting. The distant mountain ranges rose and fell. The lake water looked like jade amid the undulating mountain ranges, looking like a flawless piece of unpolished jade embedded in the mountains. As Xiaochen stood at the lake's edge, he saw that the picturesque lake was incredibly long and narrow, extending out between two mountain ranges. This small lake actually gave off the feeling of a vast sea, vast and unfathomable. As for the pavilion in the center of the lake, Xiaochen peered through the mist. Dragons and jade phoenixes were carved in the pavilion, looking pure white. The pavilion flickered with a crystalline light, reflecting the rippling, jade-green surface of the lake. "I've arrived," Xiaochen muttered to himself as he stared at the pavilion. Lu Riyue's residence in the White Dragon Palace was Xiaochen's destination. Although he could not go to Ancestor Dragon City, Xiaochen had not forgotten his initial purpose in coming to the Divine Dragon Empire. Xiaochen's figure flashed, and he flew over silently. His figure rose and fell a few times on the lake's surface. Then he gently drifted down like a swallow and landed on the pavilion's roof. Xiaochen did not enter rashly, as there were people inside. Inside the pavilion, Lu Ruyun held a painting with only Xiaochen's silhouette. She said hatefully, "Damn Xiaochen. Damn Xiaochen. We agreed to go to Ancestor Dragon City together. Why did you cause such a huge commotion? It is just a movement technique. You could have just told me, and I would have gotten my father to do it for you. It would have been easy. You bastard. You left without a conscience. You should have at least reported that you were safe. I'll stab you to death. I'll stab you to death." As the valiant and formidable-looking Lu Ruyun spoke, her eyes turned somewhat moist. This girl did not know why she felt disappointed. She just felt her nose turn sour. Then she behaved like a child, poking many holes in the painting. Xiaochen looked at the messy painting on the ground. All of them had similar holes. It was clear that this was not her first day here. Lu Ruyun only left in embarrassment when it was late at night. Xiaochen sighed in his heart. After Lu Riyue was far away, he silently entered the pavilion. Lu Ruyun once said that as long as Lu Riyue had time, she would come back to stay for a while. Xiaochen did not know when exactly, but this was where Lu Riyue stayed in the White Dragon Palace. He waited patiently. Perhaps he might get a chance to meet Lu Riyue before he left. He could only leave such an opportunity to heaven and try his luck. Xiaochen did not hold much hope. Time passed quietly. Soon 1 month passed. Xiaochen already felt some despair. During this time, Sang urged him several times to leave this place quickly. There were many experts in the White Dragon Palace. Once discovered, only death awaited him. "Big brother Xiaochen, we really have to go. Right now, the most important thing is to leave the Divine Dragon Empire. We really cannot remain in this White Dragon Palace." Sang's voice came from the Divine Universe Steel again. Xiaochen had already waited for many days. He had promised Sang to leave several times, but he could not help staying. Xiaochen sighed softly. "Let's leave after tonight." Xiao Chun was destined not to see Lu Ruyue again. Once he left, he did not know when he could see Lu Ruyue again. Someone is approaching. Just at this moment, Xiao Chun and Sang both sensed someone slowly floating over from the lake. It was not Lu Ruyun. In the past month, Lu Ruyun had come several times. Xiao Chun and Sang were already very familiar with her aura. It's her. Chapter 2022. Someone was indeed here. The lake rippled under the night sky. A girl wearing simple clothes that could not hide her outstanding charm arrived before the pavilion amid the hazy white fog. She pushed the door open and entered. She went straight to the study and saw the mess on the floor. She frowned slightly and smiled softly. This girl is causing trouble in my room again. Clearly, she knew that Lu Ruyun was the cause of all this. Aside from Lu Ruyun, no one else could enter the pavilion in the center of the lake. Lu Ruyun showed a relaxed expression and did not notice that someone was leaning against the roof beam, watching her. The only exposed eyes under the mask had lost their previous clarity, appearing somewhat sluggish. It really is her. Qingyun peeks Lu Ruyue, the girl who once made Xiao Chun reveal his heart at the top of a 30-kilometer-tall peak and love her. After not seeing her for so many years, she had changed a lot. The only thing that did not change was her charm, which remained the same. She was exactly the same as in Xiao Chun's memories. However, she now had an air of nobility and holiness that others could not bear to blaspheme. Lu Ruyue clearly had many charms, but she did not give off the aura of a prostitute. Instead, she was filled with contradictions and temptation. No wonder everyone in the Divine Dragon Empire knew about the White Dragon Holy Daughter. Who could compare to her charm? She is too reckless. I really have to scold her. Lu Ruyun looked at the painting and the gaps of various sizes, appearing somewhat angry. As she looked at the blank painting with only a silhouette, she revealed a trace of gentleness and confusion on her face. Why is it that when I see only a silhouette, my heart relaxes? However, I cannot remember who he is. Who is it? Just at this moment, a strange sound startled Lu Ruyue. It turned out that Lu Ruyue could not help falling from the roof beam. Lu Ruyue reacted very quickly. With a flip of her hand, she threw a palm strike. Given her sovereign personage cultivation, if this palm strike struck Xiao Chun, he would suffer. Whoosh! Xiao Chun suddenly startled awake. His figure flashed as he dodged the palm strike and flew out of the window. How bold of you! You even dare to barge into my room. A murderous intent flashed in Lu Ruyue's eyes. A small saber appeared in her hand as she gave chase like a beam of flowing light. Despite moving later, Lu Ruyue arrived first, landing in front of Xiao Chun and blocking his path. Clang! Without any hesitation, Zhang Xian drew the short saber in his hand, and a cold killing intent immediately spread out. The temperature of the lake plummeted. The blade of the saber shone with a piercingly cold light, reflecting the gentle moonlight. A cool breeze blew in the surroundings, making it seem like willow leaves drifting about. The instant Lu Ruyue drew her saber, her aura merged with the surrounding mountains and rivers. The blade was locked onto Xiao Chun. Apart from taking the blow head-on, there was no way to avoid it. Under the illumination of the full moon in the vast night, the clear surface of the lake was filled with cold fog. The saber light flying over was cold and desolate. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, Xiao Chun had no idea. Regardless of the reason, Xiao Chun could not attack the person in front of him. The promise he made in this life would never be erased. Like a willow leaf, it flew along with the saber and was less than 30 centimeters away from him. Xiao Chun took off the Grim Reaper mask on his face. Under the gentle moonlight, this was a delicate and handsome face. It didn't have the magnificence of jade, nor did it have the arrogance of nobility. It was a face with delicate features and a pair of clear and bright eyes under the illumination of the moonlight. The instant Xiao Chun removed the mask, Lu Ruyue's heart skipped a beat. It was like a conditioned reflex as she forcefully pulled back her attack. The fatal saber stopped when it was less than 2 centimeters away from Xiao Chun. Their eyes met, and Lu Ruyue immediately felt distracted. While she was at a loss, she felt that the person before her was incredibly familiar, exceptionally intimate. White fog spread out in all directions, and the lake reflected the bright moon in the sky. As the two stood on the peaceful lake, it was like they were standing on a bright moon. The lake was empty, and only the two full moons in the sky and the man and woman in white remained in this world. Xiaochen revealed a smile on his face. It had been so many years. Even if the other party lost her memories, she could not erase the feelings of the past. At this moment, Xiaochen felt relieved. Many of his grievances were swept away. He stretched out his hand and grabbed Lu Ruyue's wrist, which she used to draw her saber, and slowly moved it away. Then he bent over and gently kissed the back of her hand. Lu Ruyue immediately revealed extreme shock on her face. She had an incredulous expression. She blushed like fire. "You scoundrel!" Bang! Lu Ruyue threw a palm strike with her left hand at lightning speed and struck Xiaochen's shoulder. Immediately, Xiaochen flew back like a sandbag. Xiaochen landed on the water and splashed up a large amount of water. He only managed to stand firm after flying a long distance. Xiaochen wiped off the blood from the corner of his lips and looked at Lu Ruyue in front. His smile did not diminish. Lu Ruyue's expression returned to normal as she asked Xiaochen coldly, "Who are you?" The murderous intent on her face no longer existed. Although this was the first time Lu Ruyue met the person before her, she felt a sense of familiarity. There was no sense of unfamiliarity at all. This was the first time Lu Ruyue had experienced something like this in her life. She felt somewhat flustered, but she could only maintain a cold expression and pretend to be calm. Just as Xiaochen was about to answer, a strong aura rushed over from the distance. Xiaochen's expression changed slightly. He was very familiar with this aura. It was the White Dragon King. Xiaochen glanced at Lu Ruyue and said, "We will meet again. The next time we meet, I will tell you who I am." Right after Xiaochen spoke, he turned and left. Whoosh! Right after Xiaochen left, the White Dragon King slowly descended. As the White Dragon King watched Xiaochen leave, he felt astonished. This fellow is rather courageous. All the major factions of the Divine Dragon Empire are looking for him. Yet he still dares to come to the White Dragon Palace. "Adoptive father, do you know this person?" Lu Ruyue asked as she looked at the White Dragon King. When Xiaochen left, his usual calm immediately gave her some clues from the White Dragon King's face. If Xiaochen were here, he would definitely feel suspicious about how Lu Ruyue addressed him. The White Dragon King's heart immediately tightened. This girl is still as sharp as before. She noticed the slightest change in his expression. What's going on? A figure flew over from the lake. It was Lu Ruyue. The White Dragon King immediately felt a headache coming. Another problem. Just as he was about to leave, Lu Ruyue pestered him. Quickly speak. Quickly speak. What's going on? I feel like someone was here." Lu Ruyue said. Indeed, someone was here. He wore white clothes and was young. He seemed to be of a mixed blood dragon bloodline. "Xiaochen. It's Xiaochen. Father, what did you do to him? Don't hand him over to Ancestor Dragon City." Lu Ruyue immediately guessed who it was. Then she gave the White Dragon King a pitiful look. The White Dragon King sighed in his heart. Then he said helplessly, "It was indeed him. However, I already let him go and did not make things difficult for him." "Why didn't you keep him here?" Lu Ruyue immediately retorted angrily. The White Dragon King smiled embarrassedly. "I'm really in the wrong now. It was wrong to keep him here, but it was wrong not to keep him here either." Xiaochen? The Heaven Dragon Palace's Xiaochen, who caused a series of commotion recently and successfully practiced the Supreme Dragon Fist. To think that he dares to remain in the Divine Dragon Empire. The Golden Dragon Palace commissioned Ancestor Dragon City to issue a wanted order. However, Lu Ruyue felt incredibly shocked, clearly surprised. Unexpectedly, this person whom she felt so close to had such an identity. "Isn't that very dangerous? Father, please save him," Lu Ruyue said worriedly. The White Dragon King showed a grave expression as he sighed softly. "This trouble is worse than you imagine. Actually, he did not offend Ancestor Dragon City. He offended the Golden Dragon Palace." Back then, when news of him successfully practicing the Supreme Dragon Fist spread, the Golden Dragon Palace prepared to make a move against him. This time, The Supreme Dragon Fist suppressed the Emperor Dragon Fist, making the Golden Dragon Palace nervous. What is the difference between offending Ancestor Dragon City and the Golden Dragon Palace? Lu Ryue felt confused, not understanding. Lu Ryue entered deep thought. Then she said softly, if he offends Ancestor Dragon City, everything will be handled according to the rules. At the very least, he will not die. After investigating the truth, if he is not a spy and there is nothing suspicious about his identity, Ancestor Dragon City might even let bygones be bygones and nurture him. If he offends the Golden Dragon Palace, it will be problematic. If the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor rages, how can anyone survive? Father, I don't care. You have to save him. When Lu Ryue heard that, her expression immediately turned unsightly. Only now did she realize the severity of the matter. Lu Ryue looked at the White Dragon King and said, Adoptive father, this person can be saved. The other Dragon Kings probably do not want him to die. If he lives, he will make the Golden Dragon Palace's people nervous. It might even affect the fight to become the Dragon Emperor. What made the Golden Dragon bloodline nervous was not Xiao Chun, but Xiao Chen's Supreme Dragon Fist. The influence that this fist technique had back then was simply too heaven-defying. The previous generation Heaven Dragon nearly used the Supreme Dragon Fist to change the world. It would be a lie to say that the Qin clan, the royal clan of the Golden Dragon bloodline, was not nervous. The White Dragon King observed Lu Ryue's expression. It looked like this Xiao Chun did not say anything strange to Lu Ryue, forcefully evoking her memories. He was rather smart. I'll think about this matter. The two of you should not interfere, especially you. Do you hear me? The White Dragon King pointed at Lu Ryue and threatened her before leaving. Now only Lu Ryue and Lu Ruyan remained on the lake. Lu Ryue smiled and said, Elder sister, your words are still the most effective. Based on father's appearance, he probably agreed. Lu Ryue smiled faintly and said, It's hard to say. The things involved are much more complicated than you imagine. At adoptive father's level, no matter what decision he makes, he will not be affected by emotions. He will only make decisions related to benefits. Of course, you are an exception. Is that so? Why do I feel that he does not care about me at all? He locked me up in the White Dragon Palace for many years, not letting me out. Lu Ryue said in dissatisfaction. Chapter 2023. Are you done? Kacha. On this day, when night was about to fall, Xiao Chun got up from the barren mountain where he was cultivating. As long as an aristocratic family had a divine physique, it was a sign of prosperity. As long as his god body grew normally, he could be invincible and achieve an earth-shaking undertaking. This person was a peak consummation holy venerate, only half a step away from sovereign personage. This person was a Dragon's Gate Inner Palace disciple. Your Highness, there's nothing in the south either. In this world of light, the fresh blood was particularly eye-catching. It was like a blood-colored datura flower blossoming in Xiao Chen's palm. If he was strong enough, he wouldn't need to worry so much. If he was strong enough, he wouldn't need his friends to risk their lives to save him. I am Qin Feng, an Inner Palace disciple of the Dragon's Gate. Sorry for disturbing your cultivation. We do not have any ill intentions. As long as you remove your mask and reveal your identity, we will leave. Unlike now when he had to sneak around even when he was leaving. Sooner or later, he would return in a dignified and above-board manner. A handsome man in a purplish golden dragon robe slowly appeared in the forest with a regal aura emanating from his body. As the Golden Dragon Palace narrowed down the scope, it started to target people with suspicious characteristics. Now that his worries were gone, Xiao Chun set out on his journey. Wearing the death god mask, he hurried through the night. All of a sudden, Qin Feng's countenance changed. There seemed to be an accident happening below. After 2 months of bitter cultivation, Xiao Chun continuously improved his divine dragon body tempering art, heading for peak consummation of the 6th layer. It was called the divine body. Don't flatter me. I'm just a pawn. It was time to leave the Divine Dragon Empire. In the Divine Dragon Empire, there was naturally only one person who could be addressed as the Crown Prince. Just at this moment, dragon roars resounded in the surroundings. Figures continuously gathered in the air towards the desolate mountain. He was very sure that the other party had not confirmed his identity, and was only guessing and suspecting him. During the day, Xiaochen would find a quiet place to cultivate the divine dragon body tempering art. At night, he would wear the death god mask and travel. Space was in chaos. Before the two of them could do anything, they were pulled into the world within Xiaochen's palm. Looking at the corpses of the Dragon Protection Squad members on the ground, Zhang Xian searched the area and fell deep in thought. The Golden Dragon Palace's wise men deduced that Xiaochen had a treasure that could hide his aura. The Golden Dragon Palace's wise man deduced that Xiaochen had a treasure that could hide his aura. It could isolate all auras and even prevent him from being divined. Qin Feng's expression changed drastically. In the end, he was a Dragon's Gate Inner Palace disciple. He was extremely decisive. Exactly how much the Golden Dragon royalty hate Xiaochen to of the Divine Dragon to the Dragon Guards. The true Divine Dragon war body completely changed one's physique, becoming an acquired divine body. All kinds of constitutions had all kinds of incredible effects. Among this group of special constitutions, there were very few that stood out, and even they had to look up to these special constitutions. To this the Chun to the various physique, Xiao to was Long Yun, A1 A and A2 and a Chun A this, to the dragon I he. Of Chun. Demon Xiao spirit of to was. Xiao from, Chun of realm of Chun and, of. To the Golden Dragon Palace's upper echelon, this was practically impossible. To think that it was so difficult to find a person. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor ordered that we would rather kill the wrong person than let him off. Qin Feng's expression turned grave as he said seriously, "You do not understand what the Supreme Dragon Fist means. All the more, you do not understand what it means for that person to use the Supreme Dragon Fist to defeat the Emperor Dragon Fist. If you do not pay attention to it while it is still a flame, when it becomes an overwhelming flame, you will not be able to extinguish it. That would be a tragedy. Even if that person was not Xiaochen, he would not be someone to offend. He had an extremely strange temper." Right. Under the mask, Xiaochen showed a calm expression, not flustered at all. One could easily imagine how horrifying it was. Aside from that, everything was fine. The remaining dragon guards beside Qin Feng said, "Young Master Qin, what do you think the chances of this person being Xiaochen are?" 2 days later in this forest, the Death God mask had its own secret technique, Void Shadow. When used with the third layer of Firmament's Rage, Xiaochen subdued the enemy in one move. Plants grew wildly in the forest below. Unexpectedly, the boundless saber formation formed by 10 odd dragon guards got trapped. Xiaochen spat out a mouthful of turbid qi and said softly, 150 cauldron force. This was a group of strong factions that only obeyed the Golden Dragon royalty. They spread throughout the empire, infiltrating every nook and cranny. As long as Xiaochen was in the Divine Dragon Empire, this group of people would find him sooner or later. In that case, I can only make things difficult for him. What surprised Xiaochen was that the ones who appeared the most were not the Blood Dragon Guards but cultivators with the Golden Dragon race bloodline. As Xiaochen guessed, Lu Riyue had indeed lost her memories. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The Dragon Guards were stunned for a moment before following. When they arrived beside Qin Feng, they were greatly startled. How can it be like this? Whoosh. After 2 months of pursuit, they had found nothing. There were no traces of Xiaochen in the Divine Dragon Empire. The 5-element Divine Lightning flowed in Qin Feng's palm. Together with the boundless saber light, it formed a small world in his palm. Xiaochen slowly understood what the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor meant. In the end, there was only one reason for today's sorry state. He was not strong enough. However, since such people purposely hid their auras, the ones they ran into were not kind. That was enough. Xiaochen did not have much time to think. He leaped up and flew over. Boundless saber chi spread out, frantically chopping down tree branches and sending shrapnel flying. These people were also prepared to fight at the slightest disagreement. Not long after, more and more people rushed over from all directions. Every time someone arrived, They would kneel down on one knee and respectfully report their arrival. However, it seemed like the faster they chopped, the faster the tree grew. The more they chopped, the taller and larger the tree became. By the time they startled awake, they were already trapped, unable to show themselves. You want to leave now? It's too late. Reaching peak consummation of the divine dragon body tempering art was just the beginning. The earlier divine dragon war body was a joke. Xiaochen was not in a rush. The more anxious he was, the easier it would be for things to go wrong. Your Highness the Crown Prince, we have already searched 50 kilometers to the east. There is no sign of young Master Qinfeng's corpse. Being able to see Lu Ruyue one last time, before leaving the Divine Dragon Empire satisfied Xiaochen's wish. A light flashed in Xiaochen's eyes. He desired to become stronger, filled with ambition for his strength. At the foot of the White Dragon Palace, Xiaochen looked up. He could still see the bright moon, but he could not see the beauty under it. Bang. Let's go. There's no saving these people. They offended someone they should not have offended. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. Aside from the Dragon God Crown Prince Qinming, there was no one else. At some point in time, Xiaochen appeared above the two and executed the third layer of Firmament's Rage. The dragon protecting guard shouted, but the saber formation did not fall into chaos. It materialized a huge dragon of saber light radiating boundless killing chi in hot pursuit. Did this matter really startle the Dragon Emperor? An insignificant holy venerate actually angered the purple gold Dragon Emperor, to the point that he personally issued a kill order. In this world, there was a small group of people who were born with a special physique, possessing physical bodies that ordinary people could not compare to. Xiaochen's figure flashed. Having been prepared for this, he easily dodged and headed for the dense forest. Qinfeng's expression turned cold as he waved his hand. The surrounding dragon protecting guards instantly drew their weapons and formed a saber formation surging with killing chi, surrounding Xiaochen. Xiaochen took down these two holy venerates, who could fight with ordinary sovereign personages, in one move. The Tenad dragon protecting guards formed a saber formation that materialized saber lights filling the air. They formed a boundless killing formation, wanting to forcefully pull in Xiaochen. As for the divine dragon body tempering art, it used a cultivation technique and the dragon race bloodline to form an acquired divine body. When Xiaochen punched, his vital qi immediately surged like a dragon, moving around continuously. The force exploded in the fist light, producing a piercing sound that shook the surroundings. The desolate mountain under Xiaochen's feet trembled. This allowed the clan to rise up and prosper for tens of thousands of years, perhaps even longer. During the 10 days of hiding, Xiaochen felt that even wearing the death god mask might not be foolproof. Qin Yun's expression remained calm. However, the other Ancestor Dragon City disciples around him all held their weapons in their hands. Xiaochen could not use the transportation formation, or send out the demon blood vulture. If he relied on his movement technique, he would need some time to leave the Divine Dragon Empire. Sorry, I'm afraid I cannot agree to your request. Qinfeng left on a whim, directly abandoning this group of dragon protecting guards, not caring about their lives. These are the dragon protecting guards. Soon, a group of dragon race cultivators gathered in front of Xiaochen. The leader wore golden dragon robes with Ancestor Dragon City's insignia on his chest. Blood dripped from his robes, looking very alluring. Xiaochen nodded and said, I can't remain in this place. I have to leave quickly. When I cultivate this divine dragon body tempering art to peak consummation, I will be able to undergo a rebirth, becoming no different from a true divine body. At that time, not only will my cultivation advance rapidly, but my physical body will also be terrifyingly strong. As the news continued to spread, the purple gold-robed youth said softly, This is the first time a royal clan disciple died in the past 2 months. No matter who it is, I will find you. The miserable shrieks in the dense forest below finally stopped. Sang leaped out and arrived beside Xiaochen. Lightning flashed, saber light flashed, and flesh flew everywhere. Firmament's Rage. Xiaochen's calm voice came from under the mask, containing a trace of cold smile. As Xiaochen waved his hand, boundless rage spread out in all directions. This person was very polite, further confirming Xiao Chen's guess that the other party had not confirmed his identity. Xiao Chen prepared to attack at any moment. Cultivation techniques that could allow one to cultivate an acquired divine body were extremely rare in the world, few in number. Xiao Chen clenched his fist. The world in his palm no longer had any blind spots. After a while he let go. Xiao Chen withdrew his gaze and hid his thoughts in the depths of his heart. Then he left under the cover of night. I'll leave it like this then. Furthermore, there was something strange about the death god mask, which could easily give rise to negative emotions. The disciples of the Dragon Protection Squad and the Qin family had all suffered quite a bit over the past 2 months, so their attitudes had become much more polite. Chapter 2024. As time passed, Xiao Chen approached the Divine Dragon Empire's border. Since killing Qin Feng and the group of dragon protecting guards, Xiao Chen had encountered more and more attacks. However, this could not be blamed on Xiao Chen. When the huge gears of an empire started moving, the various organizations worked together. Even with the death god mask, it was only a matter of time before he got targeted. There was no lack of wise people in the empire. Since you disappeared silently, you definitely have a treasure that can isolate your aura. There was no doubt about it. If that person changed directions and investigated these suspicious people one by one, he would eventually find them. This was something that Xiao Chen could guess. However, he could not guess that the Divine Dragon Crown Prince would make a move to hunt him down as well. Condensing Cloud City. This was the last major city at the northern border of the empire, and one could leave the Divine Dragon Empire. This was the route that Xiao Chen took to leave the Divine Dragon Empire. On a grassland 5,000 kilometers away from the city, Xiao Chen wiped the blood off his tyrant saber. The corpses of the dragon protecting guards littered the grassland. As Xiao Chen approached the border, the intensity of the pursuit increased. Along the way, Xiao Chen changed his path several times, moving without any pattern. However, he would be found soon. It was hard to imagine how difficult the journey would be without the death god mask. Xiao Chen would probably be found in less than half a month. After passing this city, I should be able to leave the Divine Dragon Empire. Xiao Chen looked into the distance. Although he could not see the silhouette of a city at the limits of his vision, he could sense Condensing Cloud City with his spiritual sense. Where do you intend to go next? Sang asked as he looked at Xiao Chen after dealing with the corpses. After leaving the Divine Dragon Empire, he would be free to soar in the vast sky and swim in the vast sea. No matter how vast the world was, there would always be a place for him, Xiao Chen. There were many places that he wanted to go. Xiao Chen even considered returning to the Kunlun realm. However, given Xiao Chen's current cultivation, it would take too much time to go there. He could go to the Yanwu dynasty. His senior brother, Yi Zifeng, was in the Yanwu dynasty's imperial capital, and had some friendship with the Soaring Dragon Marquis. He could also go to the Tianwu dynasty. If he was lucky, he might be able to find news of Chu Chaoyan. Xiao Chen could go to the Golden Crow Empire, the top of the 8 great empires. Ao Jiao and Yellowfeather were both there, so it was not a bad choice. Even if he could not go anywhere, he could leave the Central Great Realm and go to the Forbidden Seas to search for Xiao Sua. The Black Cutlass Pirate Group obtained the Scarlet Blood Pirate King's inheritance, and did very well in the 7 Great Forbidden Seas. With so many choices, Xiao Chen could not make any. Let's go to the Azure Dragon's old lands first. We can decide what to do after that. Xiao Chen said softly after thinking for a while. Blue Qin long ago? They existed for a very long time. I recall that the Azure Dragon bloodline was the leader of the Divine Dragons during the martial epoch. Sang said softly as he recalled. A thought occurred to Xiao Chen. In that case, do you know why the Blue Dragon died? Sang smiled bitterly. My memories come from the propping mulberry tree. The propping mulberry tree was just a bystander. How could it understand these things? Indeed, that was so. Xiao Chen felt somewhat disappointed. He could only rely on himself to find out more. The imprisoned Heaven Dragon in the Starry Heavens Dragon prison once said that he had been to the Blue Dragon's old land, and seemed to know some secrets. However, the Heaven Dragon did not tell Xiao Chen where the Blue Dragon's old land was. Xiaochen could only search for information about the Blue Dragon's old land in the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories. Then he compared it to the current map to see if he could find it. Let's leave this place first. After looking around, Xiaochen found a desolate place. Then he took out the Divine Universe Steel. Then he entered it together with Sang. Now that he had the Death God mask, he could no longer rest easy. He could only take out his final trump card. Unfortunately, after entering the Divine Universe Steel, he could not control it. Otherwise, he could directly hide in the Divine Universe Steel and use it to travel. There would be no risk at all. The world inside the Divine Universe Steel was chaotic, like an unrepaired wasteland. In the future, if you have sufficient resources, you can actually open up a world in this Divine Universe Steel, Sang said softly as he looked around, finding this somewhat unfortunate. This was a spatial divine tool that many sovereign emperors yearned for. However, Xiaochen could not make use of it. Xiaochen appeared somewhat helpless. How could he not know that the Divine Universe Steel was just a slightly larger storage ring in his hands? He could not discover its many wondrous uses. In reality, Xiaochen had only infused his spiritual sense mark into this Divine Universe Steel. He had not completely refined it. Furthermore, Xiaochen could not say that it was his. If an expert came and snatched it, they could casually erase his spiritual sense mark, and the treasure would instantly change owners. Apart from the two of them, there was also a 7-colored coiling dragon tree, and a sapling of the propping mulberry tree. The 7-colored coiling dragon fruits on the coiling dragon tree flickered with different colors. Xiaochen sat cross-legged under the tree, cultivating the divine dragon body tempering art. Xiaochen hoped to master this body tempering art soon, and obtain an acquired divine body. Sang took care of the propping mulberry tree sapling at the side. After the sky turned dark, Xiaochen came out of the Divine Universe Steel, and placed it in his body before continuing on his way. A distance of 10,000 miles was not considered far for him. Traveling at full speed, Xiaochen arrived in front of Condensing Cloud City in less than 4 hours. Condensing Cloud City remained brightly lit at night, looking extraordinarily bustling. The border cities were indeed bustling. Aside from the dangerous Forbidden Lands, the nearby borders were guarded by dragon race armies, patrolling day and night. If Xiaochen wanted to cross the border, passing through this city was the most suitable choice. Otherwise, if he took a detour, he would have to travel for another year or so, which would be extremely troublesome. Xiaochen removed the Death God mask, and his facial bones moved. After a while, he looked like someone else. This level of disguise could only change one's appearance. It could not hide one's aura. To experts, this was not very useful. Xiaochen had lived in the Divine Dragon Empire for a long time. He had to have left his aura on some items in the hands of the Blood Dragon Guards and the Dragon Protecting Squad. However, he had to take a risk at the final stage. Xiaochen believed that, be it the Blood Dragon Guards or the Dragon Protecting Squad, he should have left them behind. As long as he rushed, he should be able to cross the border smoothly. Before the city gates, Xiaochen saw his portrait on a wanted poster pasted on the city walls. Fortunately, the cultivators guarding the city gates were not very strong. Xiaochen's expression did not change. After handing over the primeval heavenly pills, he smoothly entered the city. At the same time, on the savannah where he fought during the day, the dragon god crown prince, Qin Ming, stood on the ground and looked around, his expression changing. After a while, the Dragon Protecting Squad appeared and reported the information they collected to him. Interesting. I am one step too slow every time. I really don't believe that this is a coincidence. Qin Ming revealed a mocking smile on his handsome face. He was well aware of the hidden obstruction of certain factions. If the Dragon God Crown Prince could not find Xiaochen at the start, it would be understandable. Now the Dragon God Crown Prince had narrowed down significantly. To think that he still could not stop the other party. This was truly strange. However, this made sense. The other Divine Dragon Palaces would be happy to see such a person succeed. They would not be willing to let the Golden Dragon Palace's people kill him. Your Highness the Crown Prince, that person should have arrived at Condensing Cloud City already. We can send a command to the Condensing Cloud City's City Lord to seal the city first. Then we can catch him like a turtle in a jar, a dragon protecting squad member suggested, sounding very reasonable. However, Qin Ming said indifferently, there's no need. Some people are probably already prepared and cannot be stopped. He is destined to leave the Divine Dragon Empire alive. Your Highness, there is no need to be so pessimistic. We will charge over tonight. Who dares to stop the dragon protecting squad? What if it is the Blood Dragon Guards? The group of dragon protecting guards revealed shocked expressions. Clearly they were somewhat shocked. Why would the Blood Dragon Guards side with Xiaochun? However, they did not dare to question Qin Ming, not daring to say anything. All of you withdraw. There is no need for the dragon protecting squad to participate in the remaining matters. I already made arrangements long ago. No matter who it is, they will not be able to protect you. Confidence flashed in Qin Ming's eyes as he waved his hand for the dragon protecting squad to withdraw. Yes. The dragon protecting squad members withdrew, not daring to resist. Qin Ming looked at the city in the distance under the night sky. Then he stood upright with his hands behind his back and said indifferently, since I guessed your plans, how could I not have made arrangements? Chapter 2025. Under the night sky, in condensing Cloud City, Xiaochun walked the streets. Even though it was late at night, this border city was still bustling with activity, brightly lit. Xiaochun did not choose to rashly exit closed-door cultivation. Instead, he found an inconspicuous inn to check in. After checking in, he sat down cross-legged and entered a state of cultivation. The divine dragon body tempering art's energy circulated in his body. The rhythm of his breathing slowly changed along with the energy. After a while, azure-colored dragon qi soared up from Xiaochun's body, burning like flames. The flames slowly burned up all the impurities in Xiaochun's body, expelling them bit by bit. After 3 months of cultivation, Xiaochun's divine dragon body tempering art was already very close to perfection of the 6th layer. He could break through at any moment. This was the divine dragon body tempering art. It continuously modified Xiaochun's physical body, subtly refining it into an acquired divine body. An acquired divine body was not something that could be accomplished in a day. From the moment Xiaochun started cultivating, the refinement of his divine body had already begun. Dragon bones, dragon tendons, dragon blood. These were changes that Xiaochun did not realize at the start. They were preparations for an acquired divine body. When the sky brightened, the first ray of sunlight from the east shone into the room. As the sun rose in the east, purple qi arrived. Following that, strands of purple qi shone in. Azure smoke came from Xiaochun's body. Amid the haze, crunching sounds came from his bones as they squirmed. Xiaochun's already changed appearance forcibly recovered. Xiaochun experienced a kind of extreme pain. He felt as if his body was being cut into pieces by thousands of knives, as if countless iron hammers were pounding on him. This was an indescribable pain. It was also a transformation that one had to experience in order to refine an acquired divine body and undergo a complete rebirth. Only when the blazing sun was high in the sky did the pain in Xiaochun's body stop. He opened his eyes with some difficulty. The glaring sunlight made his eyes hurt. However, in the next moment, his physical body adapted to the intensity of the sunlight and released a bright light. The divine dragon body tempering art's 6th layer succeeded. Xiaochun exhaled a long breath of turbid air. His eyes were extremely sharp. From head to toe, from inside to outside, he felt as if he had been reborn. With a thought, the vital qi in Xiaochun's body gathered, and the formless vital qi appeared. As the vital qi flowed through Xiaochun's body, it turned into many faint azure lines. Xiaochun clenched his right fist and gathered the countless faint azure vital qi in his body. They instantly gathered together and formed a strand of dragon-shaped vital qi, which gathered in the fist's light. Xiaochun immediately sensed that the power contained in the fist had reached an extremely terrifying level. A total of 200 cauldrons of force. Is this a body? Xiaochun was astonished. The change was so great that it completely exceeded his imagination. Why did you not cultivate the divine dragon body tempering art that I gave you? You have the cheek to call this the divine dragon war body? Don't embarrass me. Quickly go and cultivate the divine dragon body tempering art. Stop wasting time. The blood-soaked dragon emperor's disdainful words appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. Indeed, the blood-soaked dragon emperor did not bully him. It turned out that the divine dragon body tempering art that Xiao Chen did not pay much attention to back then was such a vast fortune. Furthermore, this was just the beginning. Xiao Chen's acquired divine body had changed Xiao Chen's physique from the very foundation. In the past, Xiao Chen only had astonishing comprehension ability. His physique and aptitude were not considered excellent. However, now that he had an acquired divine body, his comprehension ability was even better. His future potential was simply unimaginable. Gurgle. Suddenly, a strange sound came from his stomach. Strangely, Xiao Chen discovered that he was hungry. At Xiao Chen's cultivation realm, he no longer needed food in the mundane world. He only needed to satisfy his desire for good food once in a while. Now he was actually hungry. This was truly strange. After tidying up and changing his appearance, Xiao Chen chose a window seat on the second floor of the inn. He ordered many dishes and wine in one go. After the dishes were served, he ate heartily, feeling incredibly carefree. He had not eaten to his heart's content in a long time. Dear customer, your appetite is really huge. Even those strong men among cultivators would not be able to finish all the food and wine on the table. The waiter came over and looked at Xiao Chen with a smile. It seemed like he wanted to ask for a tip. Xiao Chen smiled but did not say anything, not saying anything. After Xiao Chen's divine body was newly formed, he needed to replenish it. Naturally, others would not understand. It looks like you have not eaten anything good for a few months already. When the waiter saw that Xiao Chen did not say anything, his smile did not fade. He sat across from Xiao Chen and picked up a cup of wine to drink. Xiao Chen's heart sank as he scanned the surroundings with his spiritual sense. After carefully sizing up the place, he was shocked to discover that the guests on the second floor had been replaced by experts with withdrawn killing chi at some point in time. It's the blood dragon guards. Just as Xiao Chen felt bewildered, the waiter's expression changed. After a while, it turned into a face that Xiao Chen was familiar with. It was Vice Hall Master Li of the Law Enforcement Hall of the Heaven Dragon Palace. Little brother Xiao Chen, it looks like your disguise is not up to standard. Vice Hall Master Li looked at Xiao Chen with a smile, appearing somewhat cocky. Xiao Chen had not seen through Vice Hall Master Li's disguise. Xiao Chen wiped off the grease on his lips and said softly, I underestimated the blood dragon guard's ability. I thought that I managed to deceive everyone, and that no one noticed me along the way. It turns out that the blood dragon guards have been watching my every move. At this point, if Xiao Chen still did not realize that the blood dragon guards knew his every move, he would be a fool. Vice Hall Master Li smiled and said, There's no need to be humble. The blood dragon guards spent a lot of effort to find you. If you were not in the Divine Dragon Empire, we would not have been able to find you. First Palace Master, how is it? Xiao Chen did not say anything else, only asking about the topic that he was most concerned about. Vice Hall Master Li sighed softly. You are still the Xiao Chen that I know. You did not ask me why I did not capture you first. Don't worry. The first Palace Master is fine. With his prestige in the Heaven Dragon Palace, no one dares to truly touch him. However, he will definitely not be able to escape being imprisoned for several decades. Compared to that, you should be more concerned about yourself. Xiao Chen smiled helplessly. If they wanted to capture me, they would have done so long ago. If I guess right, the Golden Dragon Palace has always been one step behind me. Is that also because of your contributions that the Golden Dragon Palace has been one step behind me? Indeed, that's right. The Blood Dragon Guards, the Shadow Dragon Sovereign, personally ordered us to escort you out. Don't ask me why. I don't know either. Vice Hall Master Li shrugged, indicating that he did not know. The Shadow Dragon Sovereign ordered us to escort me out of the Divine Dragon Empire? Xiao Chen felt incredibly shocked. This was truly unexpected. He had never seen that person before. Furthermore, an expert on the level of the Shadow Dragon Sovereign was not someone Xiao Chen could deal with. The Shadow Dragon Sovereign already stood at the peak of the entire Central Great Realm. Let's go. We already controlled this city in advance. The Golden Dragon Palace and the dragon protecting guards will not be able to find us here, Vice Hall Master Li said as he stood up. Xiao Chen left behind a few spirit jades and stood up to leave with Vice Hall Master Li. However, he could not resolve the doubts in his heart. Vice Hall Master Li sent Xiao Chen off. As he said, Xiao Chen did not encounter any interference and came out of closed-door cultivation smoothly. When Xiao Chen looked back, he saw condensing Cloud City behind him. A vast and boundless ancient swamp lay before him. This place was called Cloudwater Marsh. There was a spring for 5 kilometers and a river for 50 kilometers. When looking from a distance, one could only see a vast mist, not knowing how deep the ancient swamp was. After stepping into Cloudwater Marsh, one would be considered to have left the Divine Dragon Empire and be completely safe. However, Cloudwater Marsh itself was not peaceful. Ferocious beasts roamed it, and the environment was complicated. Just as Xiao Chen looked around, a murderous chi surged over. Xiao Chen immediately sensed danger. It was Vice Hall Master Li. To think that he attacked me. Xiao Chen did not have much time to think. In the time it took for a spark to fly, his vital chi surged as he threw a punch. Bang! Xiao Chen's fist light landed on Vice Hall Master Li's right shoulder. Vice Hall Master Li's palm strike landed on Xiao Chen's left shoulder. Pussy. Vice Hall Master Li vomited a mouthful of blood. He nearly fainted from the pain. The bones in his right shoulder shattered, causing him to grimace in pain. The impact knocked Xiao Chen back. When he landed, he happened to land on Cloudwater Marsh. Xiao Chen was not injured at all. This startled him awake. Vice Hall Master Li was putting on an act, sending him to the final floor. The Blood Dragon guards helped Vice Hall Master Li up after wiping the blood off his lips. Then he smiled bitterly. This fellow is really ruthless. He nearly took half my life. That's fine. At least I can account for my injuries. Let's go back. As Xiao Chen watched Vice Hall Master Li's group leave, he silently thanked them in his heart. At this moment, Xiao Chen was already outside the Divine Dragon Empire. He felt somewhat complicated. Previously, he had put in a lot of effort to get to this place. Now, for the sake of leaving, he paid an even greater price than before. Fate was truly unpredictable. The matters of the world were like a game of Go, unpredictable. But sooner or later, he would definitely come back. He would come back in an upright and aboveboard manner. Xiao Chen took one last look at the Empire's border at the final city. Then he turned around and entered Cloudwater Marsh's hazy white fog. However, was he really safe after entering Cloudwater Marsh? Chapter 2026. The sky was vast, and the water was vast. There was a spring for 5 kilometers around, and a river for 50 kilometers around. Cloudwater Marsh lived up to its reputation. Clatter, clatter. Xiao Chen stepped on the muddy ground, traveling light as he advanced through the mist. The next 3 days were calm. Aside from some blind ferocious beasts, there were no other disturbances. At this point, Xiao Chen relaxed, knowing that he was safe. However, he did not let down his guard. After putting in so much effort, the Golden Dragon Palace would not let him off so easily. At the very least, Xiao Chen had to cross Cloudwater Marsh. As Xiao Chen familiarized himself with his acquired divine body, he traveled. He did not fall behind in his cultivation either. 7 days later, Xiao Chen roughly familiarized himself with his acquired divine body. Cloudwater Marsh, which had had enough, was about to leave. Everything was developing in a good direction. Woo, woo. What is that sound? A flute? However, just as Xiao Chen lowered his guard to its lowest, something strange happened. Suddenly, melodious flute music rang out in the vast mist. Xiao Chen looked around, feeling confused. The flute music surrounded him, but he could not figure it out. Xiao Chen shouted, "Which friend is playing the flute? Why not show yourself and meet me?" The flute music suddenly stopped, and a person slowly walked out of the mist in front. Xiao Chen's body was like jade, and he looked delicate and pretty. He held a flute in his hand as he floated over. Within the mist, he looked like an immortal descending to the mortal world. There were 3 scarlet marks on his forehead, forming a beautiful scarlet orchid. A white cloud flies in the depths of the white clouds. A dot of azure and red reflects the moonlight. I am Bai Yunfei. I was entrusted by Qin Ming to wait for Brother Xiao for a long time. Bai Yunfei. Xiao Chen had heard of this person before. He was the top expert of the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan's younger generation. In the White Marsh Beast Empire, he held the same status as Qin Ming. Many years ago, Bai Yunfei's name had shaken the northern region. He could be said to be unrivaled among the northern region's younger generation, extremely strong. To think that Qin Ming actually invited him out, Xiao Chen's heart sank. He said coldly, "Since when did the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan become Qin Ming's lackey?" Bai Yunfei said softly, "Brother Xiao, don't be angry. I only owe him a favor. If you have any requests, I might be able to satisfy them before I die." Xiao Chen's thoughts spun rapidly. This person's cultivation was too high. His talent, comprehension, and bloodline were all 1 in a million. He'd laid down a solid foundation long before he came to the Central World. If he was given another year and a half, he might be able to compete with this person. But now it was a little difficult. At the same time, he realized that Vice Hall Master Li and the others might have been deceived. Qin Ming might have been deliberately attracting the Blood Dragon Guard's attention in the Divine Dragon Empire. He knew that even if he were to make a move within the Empire, he would be obstructed. He might as well let him go and let Bai Yunfei kill him without any interference. What a good plan. To be able to make Qin Ming feel assured that Bai Yunfei alone would be able to intercept and kill him. This Qin Ming was truly confident. Cloudwater Marsh happened to be a place where the White Marsh Beast Empire cultivators could bring out their full combat prowess. Enough nonsense. Make your move. With a cold face, Xiao Chen paid no attention to Bai Yunfei's hypocrisy. I originally kept my heart as bright as the moon. Unfortunately, Brother Zhao's enmity for me is too deep. Bai Yunfei shook his head gently. As he held the flute with his right hand, he slowly patted his left palm. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes. The other party's patting seemed somewhat strange. Oh no. Xiao Chen gently pushed off with his feet. In that instant, his figure soared into the air, spreading his arms. Boom. A large snake suddenly appeared where Xiao Chen originally stood, its gaping maw biting empty air. Xiao Chen could not help breaking out in a cold sweat. Had he been slower, he would have ended up in this beast's stomach. This person's heart was truly like that of a venomous snake, extremely sinister. As Bai Yunfei spoke, he actually hit a killing move in secret. Furthermore, he still appeared calm. Good movement technique. Bai Yunfei praised as he pointed with his flute. In the next moment, thousands of snake images shot out of the marsh, charging at Xiao Chen like arrows. Rumble. The ground trembled. The scene of thousands of snakes flying was truly shocking. When they appeared at the same time, they erupted with an aura even more terrifying than dragon might. Let's see how you break this. My flute already controlled all the large snakes, within 5,000 kilometers. Bai Yunfei stood upright with his hands behind his back, appearing calm and confident in the mist. In Bai Yunfei's opinion, from the moment Xiao Chen saw him, Xiao Chen was already a dead man. The only thing left to guess was whether Bai Yunfei would finish off Xiao Chen in 3 moves, 2 moves, or 1 move. Firmament's rage. Just as Bai Yunfei was calculating how Xiao Chen would block, and how he would deal a fatal blow after being severely injured, Xiao Chen, who was in the air, suddenly opened his palm. In that instant, he caught all the thousands of snake images in his palm. Boom. Xiao Chen clenched his fist. When he opened his palm again, blood spurted into the air. Lightning and saber lights rained down in the sky. Xiao Chen's palm strike broke the killing move that he set up calmly. Go. While the other party was stunned, Xiao Chen turned into a flash of lightning and flew over Bai Yunfei's head. Damn it! Bai Yunfei was startled and furious. He had not expected Xiao Chen to break this move so easily. By the time the shock passed, Xiao Chen had already turned into a flash of lightning, flying 500 kilometers away. You want to run? It's not that simple. Clouds with a flip of the hand. Bai Yunfei revealed a grave expression for the first time. With a wave of his hand, mist soared for 5,000 kilometers around, condensing into an unending stream of white clouds. Just as the righteous Dao's Xiaochen was feeling uncertain, the white clouds for 5,000 kilometers around suddenly turned into towering mountains, falling down one after another. Xiaochen was forced to reveal himself. He continuously punched out, shattering the mountains. His speed was greatly restricted. Rain with a flip of the hand. Bai Yunfei shouted coldly and attacked again. Fine rain fell from the white clouds for 5,000 kilometers around. This water is poisonous? When Xiaochen came into contact with a drop, he immediately discovered that his veritable essence energy was being suppressed. The white rainwater turned into black poisonous gas that relentlessly attacked his physical body. Fortunately, Xiaochen already had an acquired divine body and did not fear this poisonous water. However, the rain continued endlessly, corroding his body. In the end, it was a problem. Xiaochen cursed in his heart. This person is really like a venomous snake, sinister and vicious and relentless. After being targeted, it is extremely troublesome to shake him off. After being targeted by me, Bai Yunfei, you still want to leave? Bai Yunfei flew up, moving like a venomous snake. A jade-green light appeared in his eyes, and his figure moved strangely fast. Die. Xiaochen ignored the poisonous rain in the air. He took out the god shadow bow, turned around, and fired an arrow. Bai Yunfei drew back the bowstring and released. The arrow arrived before Bai Yunfei at a frighteningly fast speed. A soul tool. This startled Bai Yunfei, but he did not fluster in the face of danger. He gathered his sovereign will on his forehead and shot it out, immediately pausing the arrow. Then Bai Yunfei quickly dodged, leaving only an afterimage. Boom. The arrow struck the afterimage and instantly tore it apart. The arrow continued forward, blasting a huge pit in the ground. Bai Yunfei dodged this arrow by a hair's breadth. He frowned heavily, revealing an even graver expression. Unexpectedly, the other party had a soul tool. That was to say, he had a chance of killing Xiaochen. Xiaochen was no longer in an invincible position. Now there was the risk of dying. I just knew that Qinming's mission would not be easy. Bai Yunfei cursed in his heart. He felt that Qinming had tricked him. Killing this Xiaochen was not an easy task. Originally, Bai Yunfei thought that he could kill Xiaochen in a few moves and return the favor to Xiaochen. Now it looked like things were not that simple. That's fine as well. Let me see how many arrows you can shoot. Bai Yunfei soared up and gave chase again. He actually missed. Since using the god shadow bow, this was the first time that Xiaochen missed an opponent. The poisonous rain had already sealed off the path in front. Xiaochen clenched his teeth and relied on his divine dragon war body to endure the rain as he continued flying forward. As long as Xiaochen left Cloudwater Marsh, the other party would not be so terrifying. At that time, he would have a much greater chance of escaping. This fellow's physical body. Bai Yunfei felt incredibly shocked when he saw Xiaochen moving through the rain. Bai Yunfei understood the horror of the poison in the rain the best. He had once relied on this poison to kill 10 sovereign personages when he was a holy venerate, shaking up the northern region. Now someone could move about fearlessly in this poisonous rain. How could Bai Yunfei not be shocked? This person has to die. Bai Yunfei made up his mind. Even if Qinming did not kill Xiaochen, he had to deal with this future problem. To think that Xiaochen's killing move failed. In the future, Xiaochen would definitely be Xiaochen's nemesis. Chapter 2027. Braving the poisonous rain. Xiaochen ran as if he was flying. Every time his feet touched the surface of the swamp, he would travel 100 miles, 10,000 meters in an instant. At some point, Bai Yunfei was already standing under a white snake. The huge white snake was wriggling on the ground. However, its speed was even faster, and it did not need to worry about the effects of the poisonous rain on itself. He had the white snake chase after Xiaochen fearlessly. At this rate, it wouldn't take long for the white snake to catch up to him. Moreover, he could still maintain his physical strength and true essence, so victory was within his grasp. Actually, Bai Yunfei could fly even faster. However, he feared the god shadow bow in Xiaochen's hand. If he was caught off guard and was hit by an arrow, it would be troublesome. With the white snake chasing after Xiaochen, he would be more confident of dodging the god shadow bow's arrows. However, the edge of Cloudwater Marsh was right in front of him, giving Xiaochen a trace of hope. Hua! Xiaochen suddenly felt his whole body relax. The world in front of him suddenly became clear, and a vast wasteland appeared in front of him. The blazing sun was scorching, and the land was scarlet, for thousands of li vegetation was sparse, and life was scarce. What is this place? Desolate Sea. Xiaochen thought for a moment, and remembered this place. This was the Central World, a vast and boundless region. The northern region and eastern region combined were not as vast as the Desolate Sea. The Desolate Sea lay between the northern region, the eastern region, and the Xiuwu dynasty. Rumor had it that it was the main battlefield of the previous Great War between righteous factions and demonic factions. It was originally a blessed land that was comparable to a fairyland, but after the Great Battle, everything turned to dust and became what it was today. There was no sea, but the vast and boundless desolate land was simply too vast. It was as vast as a continent or ocean. Hence, this land was called the Desolate Sea. Xiaochen had not expected that in his panic, he would end up here from Cloudwater Marsh. However, that did not matter. He could compare it to the blood-soaked dragon emperor's memories and the map of reality. The blue dragon's old land seemed to be in the Desolate Sea. It seemed like the heavens were also fated to send him to the blue dragon's homeland to follow in the footsteps of his ancestors. Woo-woo. The sound of the flute was melodious and moving. Bai Yunfei chased after it. Hearing the sound of the flute, Xiaochen frowned slightly. A murderous look flashed in his eyes. This was not the way to go on. Even the god Shadow Bao could not scare the other party away. If he didn't teach Bai Yunfei a lesson, he wouldn't learn his lesson. We reached the Desolate Sea? Standing on the head of the white snake, Bai Yunfei took a look at the surroundings and was slightly astonished. Unknowingly, Xiaochen had chased them so far, arriving at the Desolate Sea. Looking around, he quickly locked onto Xiaochen's position. Snakes were most sensitive to smell. Now that he had smelled Xiaochen, it would be extremely difficult for him to completely escape from his pursuit. So be it, the Desolate Sea. This place is really annoying. The dry temperature and the scorching sun above their heads made Bai Yunfei, who specialized in the element of water, somewhat uncomfortable. The giant snake beneath his feet was also in a bad mood. There was no need to waste any more time on this mixed blood dragon. Bai Yunfei flung his sleeves gently. He decided to go all out, not holding anything back. Xiaochen's aura suddenly soared, reaching a horrifying level. The beautiful orchid formed by the 3 dots on his forehead looked like it would drip off at any moment. In the next moment, Xiaochen pushed off the head of the white snake with his feet. He placed the flute by his mouth and used his veritable essence energy to blow it. As wondrous flute music rang out, Xiaochen's figure soared into the air. The surrounding scenery changed continuously, looking like he teleported. Xiaochen was scarily fast, more than twice as fast as the white snake. Bang! 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 What was even more horrifying was that the sound of the flute reverberated in the air. Everywhere it passed, it was an indiscriminate sound wave attack. Mountains flattened, and the scarlet ground exploded. Lava spewed out of the ground, and rocks floated in the air. This was a scene of the end of the world. No matter where Xiaochen hid, as long as Bai Yunfei caught up, he would be injured by the sound waves. There would be no space for him to dodge. Suddenly, the flute music stopped. Bai Yunfei frowned heavily as he put down the flute. Then he looked around in shock. It's gone. That's right. It's gone. The aura was still incredibly clear a moment ago. In the next moment, all traces of Xiaochen's aura vanished. It was like this person had been erased from the world, no longer existing. Where is he? Bai Yunfei exclaimed softly. Then he suddenly looked up and discovered that demonic clouds for 5,000 kilometers had covered the sky at some point in time. The instant Bai Yunfei looked up, a pair of eyes happened to appear in the demonic clouds, staring at him in a daze. A demonic Dao expert. Bai Yunfei's expression changed slightly as he looked into the distance. A black-cloaked figure stood on a mountain peak in front. This person wore a white mask that looked like paint. 2 strange scriptures were written vertically on the exquisite mask. Bai Yunfei probed the person, and was shocked to discover that he could not sense this person's cultivation. The Desolate Sea connected to the Xiuwu dynasty. This vast region should be the place with the most active demonic Dao cultivators in the central Great Realm. It was not strange to run into a demonic Dao expert. Just as Bai Yunfei felt uncertain, a ferocious beast soul suddenly appeared before him. Great desolate Ian ferocious beast, Qiongqi beast. This startled Bai Yunfei. This thing was even harder to deal with than the arrows shot by the god Shadow Bao. Even though Bai Yunfei had already retreated at his fastest speed, that Qiongqi ferocious beast still managed to bite him. Then Bai Yunfei's soul turned into a shadow and was dragged away. After the Qiongqi ferocious beast bit Bai Yunfei, a jade pendant on Bai Yunfei's neck gave off a ring of white light and forcefully pulled the incomplete soul back into the physical body. Bai Yunfei cried out in pain as he held his forehead. His complexion paled as he retreated frantically. A soul tool. It's another soul tool. When Bai Yunfei saw the Qiongqi beast's ghost pendant in the cloaked person's hand, his heart thumped wildly. What's wrong with me today? First, I ran into Xiao Chun, who casually took out a soul tool. To think that a random demonic Dao cultivator has a soul tool as well. Isn't a soul tool a sex soul tool? Could it be that the world has changed? In the future, I have to carry a soul tool when I go out? Bai Yunfei felt so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He had not suffered such a loss in a long time. His soul actually sustained severe injuries. If not for Bai Yunfei having a defensive soul technique secret treasure, he would have died here. Why did you attack me for no reason? Without a reason, I, Bai Yunfei, absolutely will not let this matter rest. Bai Yunfei felt that his name was rather famous in the desolate sea. Regular demonic Dao experts would give him some face. Even if they did not give him face, they would give the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan some face. The Bai clan was an overlord of a region in the central Great Realm. Haha. I just caught a good physical body, and am refining it into a demonic soul. You use sound waves to kill your way here, and you actually dare to ask me why I attacked you? Scram. If not for you being a Bai clan disciple, I would have refined you as well. A sinister voice came from the black-clad person. Bai Yunfei felt startled. I just caught a physical body. Could it be? Might I ask, Senior, if the physical body you caught was wearing white clothes and was poisoned? I have no comment. Quickly scram. However, Bai Yunfei only smiled at the black-clad person's rage. It looked like it was true. No wonder Xiao Chun disappeared without a trace. It turned out that the soul-devouring sex people dealt with Xiao Chun, even refining his soul. TSK. How miserable. The pain of having one's soul refined was so painful that one could neither live nor die. One would have to suffer torment for life. A fellow who practiced the Supreme Dragon Fist should have a limitless future. To think that he ended up in such a state. This was really lamentable. Bai Yunfei immediately felt that the injury to his soul was nothing much. Instead, he felt somewhat guilty. He was the one who forced Bai Yunfei into such a state. In some sense, it was because of him. However, don't blame me. Just die obediently at my hands. There would not be so much pain. Sorry for disturbing, Senior. I will take my leave first. I really did not know that Senior was refining a ghost pendant. Bai Yunfei smiled faintly. After apologizing, he performed a cupped fist salute and took his leave. After the other party left and entered Cloudwater Marsh, Xiao Chun slowly removed his mask on the summit. There's no need to apologize. I should be the one apologizing. Xiao Chun muttered to himself. Then he looked at the Qiongqi beast ghost pendant, which still contained a strand of Bai Yunfei's soul. I should keep this strand of soul first. Perhaps I can use it in the future. I have to find a place to treat my injuries first. I still have to force out the poison in my body. To severely injure Bai Yunfei, Xiao Chun nearly overdrew on his soul energy to activate the Qiongqi beast ghost pendant. However, it was all worth it. Chapter 2028. Inside Cloudwater Marsh. Bai Yunfei sat on the huge snake, holding his forehead as he walked back in satisfaction. However, 1 hour later, the more Bai Yunfei thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. If it was really a demonic Dao expert, would he really show mercy after severely injuring him? Given the nature of demonic Dao experts, If Bai Yunfei were in his peak state, they would definitely be very polite after reporting his name, not daring to act rashly. However, would a demonic Dao expert with a soul tool remain indifferent after severely injuring him? Bai Yunfei's soul was much stronger than Xiao Chen's. To the soul-devouring sex people, it was a great supplement, filled with temptation. No matter what, Bai Yunfei had to go back and take a look. Whoosh! Bai Yunfei gently waved the flute in his hand, and the clouds and fog for 5,000 kilometers around scattered. Bai Yunfei leaped up and soared into the air with his hands behind his back. The expression on his handsome face changed continuously. Clearly, his emotions fluctuated. After 15 minutes, Bai Yunfeng, who was flying at full speed, returned to the place where he negotiated with the black-clad man. However, the mountain summit was empty. There was no one there. Bai Yunfei's exquisite and handsome facial features twitched involuntarily as he gritted his teeth. He clenched his right fist tightly, and his body trembled slightly. A terrifying murderous intent spread in his heart. I got played. It would be impossible to refine the ghost pennant in a short time. If the other party had not lied, he would not have left at this moment. Bai Yunfei was a smart person. Naturally, he would not hold on to any hope at this moment, saying some self-consoling words. He had to admit that Xiao Chen had tricked him. To think that a plaything dared to reprimand him, pretending to be an expert, and telling him to scram. The pitiful Bai Yunfei even believed it and apologized to the other party. Thinking about it, Bai Yunfei felt a pent-up frustration in his chest that he could not vent, feeling extremely unbearable. Not only that, but the most important thing was that the other party had injured him. Yet he was secretly delighted. This was simply foolish. Even Bai Yunfei could not bear to look at it. Bai Yunfei closed his eyes and did his best to calm his emotions. His lips were still trembling. This showed how unbearable such humiliation was for Bai Yunfei. After a long time, Bai Yunfei finally opened his eyes. His expression had completely calmed down by now. Sighing, he said, "Victory and defeat are commonplace in a soldier's life. A man will always experience some setbacks in his life. It's not a good thing if things go too smoothly. This is a good lesson. I should thank him." Having said all of this, Bai Yunfei seemed to have completely let it go. He had already calmed down. However, Bai Yunfei had only taken one step when he suddenly turned around and slammed his palm down onto the mountain below him. Buzz! At the foot of the mountain, countless cracks spread out in all directions. In the next instant, the area within a radius of 10,000 li exploded. A terrifying aura swept across the place, turning the barren land into a land of death. "It would be strange if I thanked you. When I recover from my injuries, I will definitely come to the desolate sea to wash away today's humiliation." After venting his anger, Bai Yunfei finally calmed down. With a cold snort, he turned around and left. Naturally, Xiao Chen couldn't appreciate this wonderful scene. While riding on the demon blood vulture, Xiao Chen had already traveled more than 500,000 kilometers away from this place. He could be considered to have crossed the desolate sea's borders and truly stepped into the desolate sea that nurtured countless legends. After making sure that it was safe, Xiao Chen chose another place to land and treat his injuries. After everything calmed down, Xiao Chen discovered with some fear that he had still underestimated the poison in the rain. This poison had actually infiltrated his soul, without him realizing it. No matter where the poison was, be it the internal organs, blood vessels, or bone marrow, the acquired divine body could cleanly remove it. However, the poison actually infiltrated his soul. In his soul pool, the azure-colored will of soul that represented Xiao Chen's soul was dyed with a layer of black fog. Although there wasn't much poison, it was difficult to expel. It was constantly corroding his soul. Even worse, Xiao Chen had used his soul energy to drive the Qiongqi Beast Ghost Pennant without realizing it, causing the poison to infiltrate further. Although it was not fatal, it would be difficult to eradicate it quickly. Xiao Chen searched the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories for poisons that could corrode the soul. However, he was greatly startled. It turned out that there were hundreds of poisons that could corrode the soul in this world. There were even sinister people who could combine the poison with a curse. Even if one destroyed their soul and cultivated a part of it, they would not be able to remove the poison. As Xiaochen continued searching for a way to detoxify the poison, he learned that the poison Bai Yunfei used was the Thousand Taste Red, which only the extremely talented people of the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan could comprehend. This poison cultivation technique had extremely harsh requirements, even more difficult than Xiaochen's Supreme Dragon Fist. However, once one succeeded in practicing it, one would be extremely horrifying. One would not need to fear cultivators with higher cultivations. Back then, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor had suffered from it. Xiaochen immediately felt some lingering fear. Now he knew how horrifying Bai Yunfei was. How fortunate was he to be able to escape from Bai Yunfei's hands, and even severely injure him. Naturally, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor did not want to suffer from such a terrifying poison cultivation technique a second time. After much effort, he finally thought of a way to detoxify the poison. Xiaochen carefully thought about the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's method to detoxify the poison. After understanding it, he felt much more confident. According to the secret technique in the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories, he only needed 7 days to perfectly remove the poison in his soul. Woo! Woo! Just at this moment, the sound of musical instruments rang out from behind. Xiaochen opened his eyes, and his expression changed slightly. At first, he thought that it was Bai Yunfei chasing after him. However, after a while, he discovered that was not the case. The musical instruments behind him clearly came from a group of people playing. However, there was a flute among this group of people, an exceptionally refined sound. This flute sounded like resentment and admiration. It was ethereal and refined, going on endlessly. The sound lingered in the air, its cadence pleasant to the ear. What was even more amazing was that the flute player did not deliberately stand out. Instead, the zither and pipa music around her intertwined and fused together. It was like a clear spring, twisting and turning, and she was just a fish in the spring. Occasionally, she would be lively, leaping out of the water and looking at the world in a cute and mischievous manner. Then, she would immediately fall back into the spring and flow happily with the flow. Soon, the performer of the music entered Xiaochen's vision. It turned out to be a group of white-clad women, each looking like a fairy with a moving spirituality. They played the flute and the zither, appearing carefree and unfettered. Are they from the heavenly fragrance? Xiaochen entered deep thought as he watched this group of women pass by, leaving only a faint fragrance lingering in the air. The heavenly fragrance was an ancient and mysterious holy land. Holy lands were existences that surpassed rank 7 sections. Like most holy lands, the heavenly fragrance rarely interfered with mundane matters. Without a doubt, the overlords of the world were the 4 dynasties, the 8 great empires, and the various rank 7 sections. However, the truly strong holy lands with ancient inheritances rarely appeared in the world. They pursued mundane benefits. Among the holy lands, the heavenly fragrance was the strangest. It always remained neutral. Even in the great war between the righteous factions and demonic factions, it would not involve the unfettered sections. The heavenly fragrance's disciples were all women. All of the disciples were as beautiful as fairies and had outstanding grace. It was said that the heavenly fragrance's sect was in the desolate sea. However, no one knew the exact location. I am pretty lucky to be able to see a group of heavenly fragrance disciples. The earlier music seemed to still echo in Xiaochen's ears. He revealed a faint smile as he muttered to himself. Suddenly, Xiaochen's expression changed slightly, revealing some doubt. The heavenly fragrance's disciple, who had just passed by him, had actually turned back. Xiaochen felt suspicious. He was not confident that he could attract the heavenly fragrance's disciples with his charm. Otherwise, they would not have passed by earlier without slowing down at all. They really came. As Xiaochen thought this, the group of fairy-like heavenly fragrance disciples really landed before him, and stopped playing the instruments in their hands. One of the people holding a flute slowly stepped forward. He was not wearing a veil. She did not wear a veil, but her face gave off a blurry feeling, like looking at flowers in the fog. It was hazy but not to the point where one could not see anything. She should have been the one who played the flute earlier. However, what did she mean by walking over? Chapter 2029. What is she trying to do? Xiaochen felt somewhat confused. This flute-bearing woman was already very close to him. She was less than 2 meters away. Furthermore, she was getting closer. When she was 1 meter away, she stopped. Just as Xiaochen felt confused, a spirited voice came from the flute-bearing woman's mouth. This young master seems to be poisoned by the White Marsh Beast Empire's strange poison, Thousand Taste Red? So, it is because of this. Xiaochen smiled helplessly in his heart. For a moment, he really thought that his charm was boundless. That's right. I am indeed poisoned by the strange poison, Thousand Taste Red. Do the fairies of the heavenly fragrance have a way to treat me? The flute-bearing woman shook her head and said, this poison can only be treated by an elder of our sect. The process is rather troublesome. However, our sect rarely receives outsiders. Here is a detoxification pill. It can help young master for a while. I wish young master good luck. The flute-bearing woman came all the way here just to give him a medicinal pill. Even though the poison could not be completely cured, it was still a token of goodwill. Xiaochen thanked her and received the medicinal pill. I hope that young master will be blessed by heaven. The flute-bearing woman sighed in her heart and turned to leave. Being poisoned by Thousand Taste Red was basically a dead end for a holy venerate. Although it was said that heaven helped the worthy, it was not that easy. Might I ask for young lady's name, so that I can repay this favor in the future? We are just strangers meeting by chance. It's nothing much. There is no need. The flute-bearing woman did not stop walking, drifting away with her senior and junior sisters. They came like the wind and left like the wind. They came and went in a hurry, like a dream or an immortal. If not for the faint fragrance lingering in the air, and the medicinal pill in his hand, he would find it hard to believe that he had just interacted with a group of heavenly fragrance disciples. Shaking his head, Xiaochen smiled faintly and carefully put away the medicinal pill. As Xiaochen looked around, he entered deep thought. I have to find a city first to figure out where I am. The desolate sea was boundlessly vast, but the population was sparse. The scarcity of resources had created a valiant and unyielding people. On the endless barren land, newcomers needed some luck if they wanted to find a city without spending too much time. At dusk, on the western horizon, an incomparably huge setting sun appeared at the end of the horizon. Such a setting sun could only be appreciated in the desolate sea. It was an incredibly shocking sight to behold. After sunset, the sky quickly darkened. The temperature plummeted. It was the complete opposite of the scorching heat of the day. It was bone-chilling. Just by opening one's mouth, one would exhale cold air. Blood moon. Xiaochen looked up, and was surprised to find that the moon had appeared in the sky. However, it was a blood-red moon. This was the first time Xiaochen had seen a blood-red moon, and he frowned. Xiaochen seemed to have heard that the desolate sea's moon was scarlet every night. He looked around and gradually found that something was wrong. The air was cold, and there was a chill in it. It wasn't entirely because of the temperature. The yin qi in this place was extremely dense. It was said that the decisive battle between the righteous and demonic paths had taken place here. Both sides had killed until their eyes were red. This resulted in the original immortal realm turning into the current desolate sea. Who knew how many aggrieved spirits and corpses were buried under the ground? Furthermore, the desolate sea was located at the intersection of the northern region, the eastern region, and the Xiuwu dynasty. It could be said to be a chaotic place. Over the years, there had been endless killings. After the war between the righteous and demonic paths, who knew how many corpses had been buried here? Xiaochen used his spiritual sense to listen in all directions. He could hear the terrifying wails of many aggrieved spirits and malicious spirits. Together with the blood moon in the sky and the sinister cold qi, this boundless night made one feel somewhat flustered. When Xiaochen opened his heavenly eye, he could see scattered black resentment coming out of the cracks in the ground in the night. The resentment lingered in the air, swaying and looking very strange. It looks like this place is not suitable for traveling at night. Xiaochen did not understand much about the desolate sea. He had only heard a little about it. Xiaochen felt that many places in the boundless night were different from the day. This gave off an extremely dangerous feeling. He could not see through many places at all. The desolate sea's night seemed exceptionally deep. Xiaochen had been unlucky during the day, failing to find a city. However, the night suddenly became so strange. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen chose to rest here, not advancing any further. He got the demon blood vulture to patrol the surroundings to protect him. As for Xiaochen, he chose to continue cultivating. Now that his divine body was formed, he needed to spend more time on his cultivation. He had already been stuck at late-stage Holy Venerate for a long time. He needed to break through to Sovereign Personage as soon as possible. After losing the protection of the Heaven Dragon Palace and coming directly to the Desolate Sea, Xiaochen's Holy Venerate cultivation was insufficient. Xiaochen checked his resources. Of the millions of primeval heavenly pills he had, only about 500,000 remained. He probably would not be able to cultivate for long, which would be problematic. This was how things were after leaving the sect. One needed to face many things alone. However, Xiaochen was already used to this. He maintained a good attitude and did not worry too much. Under the night sky, Xiaochen laid a simple spirit-gathering formation and infused spirit jades into it. Then he waved his hand and consumed 100 primeval heavenly pills. Together with the spiritual energy absorbed by the spirit-gathering formation, he refined them at the same time. The purple thunder divine incantation slowly circulated. Whoosh! The 100 primeval heavenly pills were digested in mere moments. After tempering his body, his cultivation speed was on a completely different level. However, his need for resources also increased exponentially. Rumble! Just as Xiaochen cultivated, the sound of fighting came from the night sky. Based on the sound, it was not far from where Xiaochen was. That's not right. The source of the sound was continuously approaching Xiaochen. Soon he sensed two auras. The two auras were very chaotic. When mixed together, it was hard to tell what exactly was going on. Xiaochen's vision and spiritual sense were significantly affected in the night sky. Xiaochen stopped cultivating and soared into the air. Then he landed on the demon blood vulture's back and waited in formation. While on the demon blood vulture's back, Xiaochen opened his heavenly eye and finally saw what was going on. A gray-clad man was currently dodging the pursuit of another person. The gray-clad man was covered in mud and looked somewhat miserable, appearing very dangerous. The humanoid ferocious beast radiated death chi, obscuring its appearance. It seemed to be someone of the demonic Tao. It was very common to run into people of the demonic Tao in the Desolate Sea. The factions of the righteous Tao and demonic Tao maintained a delicate balance in the Desolate Sea. The relationship between the cultivators of the two factions was not as tense in the Desolate Sea as it was in other places. The gray-clad man appeared extremely weak and severely injured. When he saw Xiaochen, he rejoiced and shouted, "Friend of the dragon race, I am Qin Zhuolin. Can you help block the desolate slave behind?" Desolate slave? What is that? Could it be that the person behind is not a demonic Tao cultivator? Without thinking, Xiaochen attacked decisively. Thunder Monarch Spear. Xiaochen used the Thunder Great Tao's Thunder Tao energy to drive the 5-element Divine Lightning. When the Thunder Great Tao energy infused into the 5-element Divine Lightning, it quickly formed a solid spear. Whoosh! Boundless electric light burst out in all directions from the spear. A sovereign's aura spread out on the spear. Under the illumination of the electric light in the night, Xiaochen's face appeared solemn. Bang! In the time it took for Xiaochen to think, the Thunder Monarch spear stabbed into the strange desolate slave chasing after him. Bang! The horrifying electric light exploded, illuminating the surroundings in the night. Qin Zhuolin took this opportunity to climb onto the demon blood vulture. Then he urged, "Quickly go. This thing cannot be killed. It is not something you can fight." "Is that so?" Xiaochen looked over. Although the 5-element Divine Lightning did not blast the strange desolate slave into pieces, it collapsed to the ground, unable to get up. The 5-element Divine Lightning blasted away most of the death chi on its body, causing it to twitch endlessly. 5-element Divine Lightning. This startled Qin Zhuolin. Then joy appeared on his face. "So it is the 5-element Divine Lightning. No wonder you dare to barge into the Desolate Sea as a mere holy venerate." However, We still have to leave quickly. There is still a large group behind this thing. Xiao Chen did not dare to be careless, so he got the demon blood vulture to turn around and leave. Sitting on the demon blood vulture, Qin Zhuolin's flustered expression calmed significantly. Qin Zhuolin wiped away the dirt on his face. Under the dirty dirt, his facial features appeared upright, giving him a forthright air. However, his complexion appeared somewhat pale. He could compare to the white marsh beast empire cultivators that Xiao Chen had seen before. Qin Zhuolin smiled generously and said, "Many thanks, brother, for saving my life. If there is anything you need in the future, just give me a call. I will be at your beck and call in the desolate sea." "You are too polite. What is the background of the desolate slave chasing you?" When Qin Zhuolin heard that, he felt slightly startled. After a while, he smiled and said, "It looks like this is not your first time coming to the desolate sea. Furthermore, you did not come on purpose but were forced to. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.